Hello, everybody, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Shay. You're watching Shay with the Hobbies. It has been a while since we got to get back in here, like family stuff and holidays, and it just was a lot. But we are both glad to be back here, Titan. Get off my rug, buddy. Off, off, buddy. Thank you. And so I'm going to be working on more squares in this 9 block blanket. So I am 6 squares in. So I have my final 3 squares to go. And so I'm going to be working on the granny spike stitch, the center of this square right here. So that's what I'm working on today. What about you? We got your painting going.
Yeah, I'm working
Yeah.
on the painting. Well, the part that I can work on because that whole paint tube I need.
Ah, right.
But I can work on the wings because those don't matter when it comes to that particular paint tube.
Yeah. Does
But
this one have a name?
not yet. This one I just drew, and I've been working on it. Like I'm happy that I'm finally to the color stage because I had to go through the whole black and white portion.
Uh-huh.
So for values, that's why I did it that way. So I'm excited. But I know it doesn't have a name. I have no idea what it's gonna be called.
Okay.
Yeah, I watched this video
Mm-hmm.
uh, yesterday that was like recommended out of nowhere on my feed, and
Mm-hmm.
it was a documentary, like a very short documentary about Caravaggio, um, pretty much the father of the Baroque painting era,
Uh-huh.
and it was talking about they pretty much did a scientific study on trying to figure out how he painted because there was no records of his painting process anywhere.
Uh-huh.
So they
Sorry
had to
about that.
do an X-ray of the painting to see the paint strokes and see like the drawing underneath and to kind of guess at how he did it because he didn't write anything about it. He didn't tell nobody about it. You know, he was too busy getting drunk and having bar fights. So I don't know. I just wanted to try some of the techniques he was doing, not all of them because I don't want to do the exact thing, but just trying some stuff because it's fun.
Okay. All right. So channeling some other artists a little bit, like going through what they've done to see what you can create by doing it. That's
Yeah,
cool. I
I'm
mean,
kind
like, like, as writers, we do that with like seeing how other people's writing process works or what worked for their story. So, I mean, it makes sense. This is how you learn.
of, plus I've always loved classical art, like always, like most people are into like the abstract contemporary stuff for the most part. I'm talking about fine art, not like the stuff we typically see for commercial, but like fine art. Um, Most people like Picasso and all of that. I've always been a pre-abstract and know contemporary art person. Caravaggio, uh, God, I can't even remember the Rococo era, all of that stuff, the old paintings. I've always been more into those. So I'm kind of going with that instinct because it's been a long time. If you can tell, I also love art history. So
Right. No. I definitely think I think history just in general of like music history, just history in the arts is always so fascinating to me. Whenever I had to choose like a humanities, it was usually like along that line. Because it's just intriguing to learn. And I'm a firm believer that like you learn from the past. Like a firm believer in that. So I definitely understand that.
I also just find it fascinating. Like, I,
Yeah.
one of the things that no one can ever compare to is the artwork of the past because we have more of that than we have of any text anywhere. So if you want to know the past, especially the parts that we don't have written, go to art because it'll tell you a story. Just stand there and stare at it. You'll figure it out. Like they're just those paintings, as weird as they may be sometimes, they tell you a story. You just have to look for it.
I can see that.
Yeah. And that's why they always say one picture's worth 1,000 words, because it is. We're visual first, or at least that's what we start out being first, and then we become well written. People used to. I remember in college, people would look at me crazy because I got all excited about art history class, and all the other art students were like, "You don't want to be here." I'm like, "This stuff is fascinating. What's wrong with you?" I mean, I didn't like the years stuff, like when you had to remember years for tests, because I hate tests. But I like the information. I can absorb the information without having to remember what year it happened. So,
got you.
That's probably the only thing I hate. Yeah, actually, well, except for American history for reasons. Not a huge fan of American.
We got some people in the comments. We got Kaylee. Hello, how are you? I hope you are having a great Sunday and your weekend has been well. Hey, Valerie, how are you this morning? How is your writing coming? I hope everything is going decently. How are your pets? I was like, why is this? Now it's not moving. Hey, Keenan, good morning. How are you doing? How is the new job going? Are you still enjoying yourself? Let us know. Storytelling with E.L. Drayton. Hello, I wanted to stop by your live stream for so long. Glad I can catch. Well, I'm glad that you have. Now today is just Self Care Sunday. It's a creating stream, so we won't be doing any writing sprints or anything like that. But you are more than welcome to have us on and get some words in and join in on the conversation or do whatever self care stuff you may need to be doing that you might have put off for the last few days, whatever it may be. I am trying to complete projects. I have this like knack for starting blankets and not finishing them, mainly because I'll run out of the yarn color I need and then it'll be like a month before like I have the money to buy it. So yeah, it takes a while.
I have a whole list of stuff saved on Amazon that I need to buy, and I'm just waiting until I get paid. So
Right, that part. Hi, Kiara. How are you? Is it Kiara or Kiara? I don't want to say it wrong. Hey, it's been so long since I've been to one of your lives. Glad to be here. I'm so glad that you are here as well. How is July treating you? Are you having a good week? How has life been? It's been a while. So how is 2021 doing you so far? Valerie says, I'm good. My writing is pretty much journaling at the moment. The pets are good, living the happy puppy life. Hey, that's what we like to hear. And journaling is sometimes I feel like sometimes it's a lost art form. Like I know that like bullet journaling is a thing and stuff like that, but like I think the act of actually journaling as not necessarily having to write the words dear journal or whatnot, but just hand writing out your feelings, your thoughts, what happened that day. I think is definitely something that does not happen as frequently as I think it did when I was like a child. Like when I was a kid, I remember everybody had like a journal in some form.
yeah, as a kid, I bought journals to fit in, but I never wrote in them.
See, so I write less in journals as an adult than I did as a kid. Like as a kid, I'd have journals and like fill them in no time too, because I just have so many thoughts on so many different things. Hi, Jabria. How are you? I hope you are having a great Sunday. Kita, there are not going to be any sprints. Like I said, this is not a writing stream, but you can definitely, sprint along, to us chit chatting and whatnot. All right, now that I've got this foundation started, because I feel like yeah, I did. I got it.
So all the paintings behind me, which you can't see because I'm in the way, I'm going to be completely covering them in white and repainting on top of them because This is old art, so I want to repurpose the canvases. Plus, there's a lot of them. There's like 12 of like really big canvases behind me.
Oh wow. Okay.
And these things are expensive, so I'm like, I don't really want to sell them because my art, my skills changed, and my genre of doing art has changed. So I'm just
Uh
going to
huh.
sell them and use them again.
Ooh, I think that would be something interesting to have on your channel.
Oh yeah, I was thinking about videoing it. You want to know one of the things that like I'm trying to get past? I like
What?
making the videos, but it's setting up the camera. Like if I had a
Oh,
DSLR,
right. No, it's the setting up the camera right before you start doing something. Like it seems like it's so simple, but it is a lot of freaking work because let you set it up quickly and you didn't take your time, and then you realize you did all that and the recording is awful. You are so frustrated. I,
yeah.
I
Oh,
am right there with you.
that I'm in
That's
Arizona.
part of the.
I have a lighting kit, right? Like I have one lamp. I can't find the other lamp somewhere.
Uh-huh.
But I have a lighting kit so that my room isn't yellow because right now that's why this is so yellow because I'm an overhead light on.
Uh-huh.
And if I set that up, this room would be like 120 degrees because
Right,
it's
because it's hot.
100. And I have a small portable air conditioning unit that's already straining itself. So
Yeah.
it's on high.
I am totally right there with you. Like even when I stream, I have to have multiple lights on because I keep my apartment naturally dark because of the migraines. And so like when I'm crocheting, 9 times out of 10, I'm crocheting because I need to relax. I want to like do something fun. I want to like listen to an audio book and whatnot. And so it's like, dang, do I want to set up the camera to crochet and listen to this audio book? And then I got to put up all these lights on top of setting up this camera. And then that means that the dogs can't just run around while I'm crocheting because they going to knock over my lights and I'm going to feel some type of way because these things ain't cheap. Like, it's a whole thing. So I totally, totally get you.
And after you're done thinking about all of that, you're exhausted and you don't do it.
You're exhausted. You
It's
don't want to do it. Like, man, I think every creator should once a year do a series on the behind the scenes of what it takes to do what they do, just to like share that. Because one, I think people don't realize how much time and effort it takes to do any of the stuff that we do, the art alone, let alone the creating videos behind it. I just think that I think honestly that could help people to have a more respect for it if they got to see it. Is my thought. You never know though.
Oh yeah, there's one creator that I watch. She's a cottage witch, and she does like the spells. Or no, not a cottage witch. She's a kitchen witch. So she does baking and cooking and using spells into all of it. And she did a video on what her like a day in her filming was like, and I was exhausted watching it
I can imagine.
because she does stuff like outside in the forest in the woods. So she's carrying all this equipment out there,
Oh
and then
wow.
she has these scenes where she shows herself walking to where she's shooting. So she has to set up the camera there, walk, and then come back around and turn it off and grab her equipment and keep going. Just
Oh
for
yeah,
that.
no, that's a lot of work. Like getting shots of you doing stuff. Like if you're the only person filming, it's a lot. Kayla says there's a floor mosaic in my story that has a significant role, and I finally had to draw it out with each individual section to get the blocking right in my scene. And trying to divide a circle into 22 parts by hand is not my forte. Hey man, that's why I keep one of them circle protractors, the like half the circle ones. Like man, Kiera says either way works fine. July has been going okay. I'm doing my first camp now ever on my first full story ever. So that's been tough but exciting. I hope everything is going well with you. Yes. In our little Discord group, we've been running sprints. This week it has been like dry because like the 1st through the 9th of July is just always super duper hard for me. Like mentally and emotionally. So I always like drop off a little bit there. But yeah, no, I'm trying to win my first camp. I attempt them. Do I finish and succeed?
Technicalities, like just
You know, and I want to. I really do want to.
it happens.
Right. Kiara says, I like to get my canvases from Five Below, and sometimes you can find smaller ones at Dollar Tree. Right. Like, those are like good for like starting out, but for like when you want to sell your stuff and you're like into
Fair.
like deep fine art and using like the type of paints and the level of painting that she does, like those don't work. They do
They
not
have
work.
archival, so they will decay away like in 5 years. So just
Yeah, no. And but like it's all a part of like things the deeper you get into doing that. Cause like for me, like here, I'm like you, like I'll get my canvases from Five Below or from Dollar Tree or something, but it's because I'm just doing stuff around my house or just doing stuff to like let out that creative juice and relax and I'm just gonna try to do this watercolor. I'm gonna watch along with a Bob Ross Twitch and pretend like I know what I'm doing type of deal. Like that's what I be doing.
yeah,
Like
and that's
completely
fine. One of the things though, like if anybody like wants to know if they ever want to get into more deep stuff, I'm not saying go out and buy the most expensive paints out there because that's just ridiculous unless you're bringing in the money. But try to go above convenience stores and stores that aren't art stores, supplies if you want to go better because the paint acts differently depending on how much it costs. Not all paints are made equally, and not all canvases are made equally. How the paint and the even paintbrushes, the paintbrushes where like it'll break.
Man, I did not realize like how much paintbrushes affect painting until I started watching because I'm really into watercoloring and I want to get into is it gouache? Is that how you say it?
Gouache.
Gouache. I always say it wrong. Gouache because I think they are both like super duper dope ways of painting. But because of the type of painting they are, you definitely can't use cheap brushes. Like constantly when I'm watching the like reels and everything, they're like, hey y'all, I know you're like starting, spend just a little bit more money when you're starting, just a little bit. Like you don't have to go all out, but like instead of getting the $1 brush, maybe get the $3 or $5 brush. Like it because you're gonna end up buying 4 or 5 of the $1 brushes anyways if you don't.
Yeah,
And so
because they're gonna break after a while and just break.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah, like I try not to. I'm a little bit of an art supply prude, just a little bit, but I try to remember that money because I don't got money, so I get it. But
Right.
like the okay, so there's these cheap, like a lot of times cheap brushes and cheap paints. The paint will lift off the paper and it doesn't stay, so people get frustrated when using them. It isn't that you don't know what you're doing; it's that you bought cheap shit that doesn't work. So a lot of times it isn't your lack of skill; it's the paint and the brush and the paper or canvas you're using. That's the issue.
See, and me, since I do it more for fun than like actively, I wouldn't even thought of that, right?
Yep. That's why I try not to like say anything just because if you're doing it for fun, do it for fun. But if you want to know how artists do the badass crap, get better supplies.
Oh yeah, no, I definitely love like I follow so many art like channels on YouTube and just love watching them or on Instagram, just love watching their like time lapse and then hear them talk about it and especially the ones that do like the teachable tutorials, like they're small things, not like huge, but like just little small things like oh make this watercolor daisy card or something. Like I love those. Jabria says, currently dividing my time between writing some fluff for the witchy romance and cooking dinner. Ooh, you cooking early? What you cooking? Also watching the finals of the Euros because research on the international romance has sparked an interest in international soccer. Nice. Eve, hello. I'm late, but I watch the ads. Always watch the ads, people. So I'm forgiving myself. Oh, I appreciate that so very much. I be forgetting to make sure that the ads are there on lives because when you make it in StreamYard, it doesn't automatically do it. You have to go back into YouTube to do it, and I completely forget. Also, how is the beach? I saw your picture on Instagram. The painting is totally amazing. I can't wait to see what she's gonna do when she gets the color that she needs. Because we were talking about it earlier, us complaining about how capitalism makes art expensive while they still try to tell us that art isn't important. You
Right?
know, right? Come on now. Hey Ashley, how are you, love? I hope you are doing great. I feel like I haven't seen you in a while. Even creating a TikTok video and making sure the captions are right takes more time than people think. That part, That part. That's why I'm always one of those people that tries to extend people grace, because like it sounds like it's easy to do certain things, but it's not. Like there takes a lot of work and it takes a lot of time, and you don't know what someone is going through or doing. Like I commend those that can do captions on videos every single time and they don't have an issue with it and it does it. I am not yet one of those people, but I'm definitely working to become, one of those people, but it's hard. And even like captioning companies, they don't make it cheap for like a smaller creator to be able to get captioning, done for them. So it's not like them doing it all the time. There's just so much, so much, so much.
That's why
Right?
one day
Is it? Go
oh,
ahead.
I was gonna say that's why one day when I'm making the money and bringing it in, I'm gonna hire videographers to like.
Oh, for sure. I cannot wait to get to the level where I can hire like other people, and not because like I'm lazy, I don't want to do it, but I would love to be able to give people that opportunity, right? Like somebody who loves to watch videos and do captions that's like, "Hey, I wouldn't be able to do it because these companies require something like that." Hey, I want to get to the level where like I'm not editing my own videos. Like one of my favorite creators, she shoots her videos, but she doesn't edit them anymore because she has like her full-time job and then all the other stuff that she's doing because her content got so high. And it's like, now, while I don't think I'll ever get to her level because we do completely different type of things, like I would love to be able to just pay someone to do the editing for me, because honestly, editing takes up more time than any other part of filming a video.
See,
Like,
yeah, like
period.
one of the YouTubers I used to follow. I should probably subscribe to her again. I just haven't in years. Her name is Mary Doodles. She's one of the bigger artists on YouTube. She
Uh-huh.
actually sends out her footage, and someone else edits the music in and the voiceovers. And I'm like, she said, I think in the beginning she was going through Fiverr to do it. I think she has some like a friend do it now, like an
Uh-huh.
actual professional. And I'm just kind of like, I would love to just film my art videos and just let someone like just make it into like a badass piece of art in
Right.
itself.
Right. I'm totally there with you. I'm totally there with you. Also, okay, y'all. So I've done 3 rounds in the red. This will be the last one in the red that I do for now, and then I will be switching the color. Now, I'm gonna let y'all pick. So it's either orange or yellow. So whichever one gets the most by the time I'm done with this round will be the color that goes next.
Oh, by the way, I should probably say thank you to everybody who's saying my painting is gorgeous.
Oh yeah, I know. Ashley said it's beautiful. Becca joined us. Hi, love. Hey, OMG, that painting is gorgeous. It is. It's so pretty. It is so pretty. Eve said beach was fun, kind of cold and full of tourists, but way better than guilt scrolling. Man, I can understand that. Ashley says I've been busy running sprints on Discord for South Jersey writer of Camp Nano for Camp Nano. Ooh, how's that going? I was like, what is that? 10 for 10 editing takes 3 to 4 times longer than the filming the dang thing. You get faster as you learn, but would love to be able to hire an editor someday. Right. Because it does take so much time. And like when people are like, oh, a day for filming, like you need a day for filming and possibly 2 days for editing. Like if you're going to like batch film a bunch of videos one day, oh, you definitely need a day or two to edit all those videos. Like, and I
And
used to think, I realized though that I don't do a lot of sit down and talk videos. And I feel like those could possibly be easier because it's not necessarily as much as a vlog is. But I haven't tried it yet. I am going to try it and see if that theory is correct. But I don't know yet. And don't know yet.
yeah, with me, I want to make more of the art videos, and every single time I think of doing it, I don't. And then either that or I don't do the art because the filming part is making me exhausted.
Right.
So I'm like, yeah, I'm just sitting here painting, but it's just like sometimes I get a little claustrophobic because I have the camera so close to my chair and I have to catch the art in the right angle. And then lighting is my biggest stress. That is what it is.
Lighting is my biggest stress. It is. Because if it was just set the camera up and do it, honestly, it wouldn't be that hard. But because the lighting is like requires, and then you have to, you got to make sure your air conditioner or fan ain't super loud because you got to have one on because it's super hot. Like, it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah, that's why like honestly, once summer's over, I will probably start filming more videos more often because then I can have my windows wide open, take my tapestries down, and then there'll be natural light and I don't gotta worry. But it's just so freaking hot, guys. It's like 100 and some degrees outside, and it rained yesterday, last night. There was a dust storm, so now it's really sticky. So it's hell, but sticky instead of just hell.
It's been raining like crazy here. Like yesterday, it was raining cats and dogs and started hailing.
I mean, I like when it rains because then it's not hot, but
Yeah, I
afterwards,
love the rain. It's the aftermath of rain, the humidity I don't like. Angel, OMG, Angel Writer says it's going good, which is fantastic. I am super glad. Margaret said, "Hey y'all, just popping in my head up from work and popping here to say go go go." Well, thank you so much. I saw that you were having a pop up stream, but like I was halfway through a nap, trying to nap before we did this, realizing I waited way too long to take a nap and I was not going to succeed. But I tried anyway because I'm no quitter. Is that a third camera stream for Martha's easel? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like there's just, you get the link. One is the phone, one is the computer, and there you go. You make it work. Make it do what it do.
you have to learn how to hustle. Like, you want to know something I did earlier that I thought I was like totally proud of myself?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is actually a pot for a potted plant, right? And inside there's the plastic one that has the hole so that it drains water. Well, I needed something to clean my brushes, and usually the brush cleaner things are like $15, $20. And what they come with this like wire thing at the bottom. That's why, they're just made to clean brushes. So instead of spending money on that, I took this, and because there's this little space in between where the holes are and the ceramic part is, I'm just rubbing the brush against the holes to clean off the brush. You got to learn how to make what you have work.
Hey, you gotta make it do what it do. You gotta work with what you got. I am 100% in support of that. Eve says, I feel like editing is its own creative art, like you can't tell me the way that two different people choose to edit a video is not as unique as two writers. It's all storytelling. Oh yeah, no, completely. I completely agree. Filmmaking is a thing. I don't know why people act like the editing of videos and doing anything on YouTube, period, does not make you a creator because you are.
I think it's because they've been oversaturated with like the really lazy videos, but they're not understanding that one, we're not getting paid to be here unless you're over 1,000 subscribers. Back in the day, you used to get paid the minute I think you had to only have 10 subscribers or something. I don't even remember to monetize. Yeah. But now you have to have 1,000 subscribers. So people expect creators to sit there for hours for free, making all this content amazingly beautiful, and then gaslighting the situation, saying, "Oh, it's that easy." It's like, no, it's not.
Nah, it's not. It's not at all. It's not. Like it is. It's work. It really is.
And I think that's why I really don't make as many videos as I did back in the day, because I've had multiple channels. And back in the day before YouTube did that stupid that you have to have 1,000 subscribers to monetize, I was monetized and I was at 900 and something subscribers. Then they changed it, so they took away all my monetizations. And I put a lot of I had a professional DSLR. This was back in the day when my life was not what it is now. I had a professional DSLR camera. I had a gaming computer. I had the big video prepared because I was getting paid now to make videos. But when they dropped it and said, "Oh, you have to have this certain amount of subscribers," and took away all the money that I made from all those videos I'd already, made, because I think I was at 100 videos at that point, I just got really bitter. It's come on, YouTube. Really?
Yeah, no. The changes definitely have affected a lot of creators and a lot more than people really realize.
And it's I love creating art, but the extra setup of the editing for no money whatsoever is kind of bothers me a
little bit. Yeah, no, I understand. I don't make them very often. He said, I just found a guy called Half Asleep Chris, and his videos are so cute and wholesome. Lots of stop motion, paper cutouts, and cats. Oh, wow. Murray said, it's kind of like how people think social media managers use social media the same way your grandpa uses Facebook. No, there's a level of professionalization there. Right, like people who actually do social media stuff, Like it's so much work in that, especially because social media is becoming the primary way that people find the things that they buy and spend money on. Like I guarantee there are going to be, if not already, like class requirements for business majors on social media marketing. Like I
I
know some schools
removed
have it, but
myself
I feel
from
like
most
most
social media.
schools. You
So
know why not?
I pretty much removed myself from most social media. Like I'm on Instagram because images, and I'm on YouTube. But Facebook, no.
Yeah. Have you heard about like them changing Instagram from a primarily photo sharing app? About that change? Have you heard anything about that?
No, what are they What are they changing now?
I don't know entirely. I've just kind of heard and seen conversations around it. I haven't looked real deep into it because I know if I do and it ends up being what I think it is, then I'm not going to be on any form of social media, because that was what drew me to Instagram, was the fact that it was more pictures. Like I like that, you know, reels exist and blah blah blah. You know, it's cool to a certain extent, but that's also not why I came to Instagram. Like, I really don't like bringing Snapchat and TikTok and Facebook to Instagram. Like, I'm not a fan of that. But that's just me personally. Like, I liked that social media networks were different and not all integrated.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is just like I know why because Facebook owns Instagram. I know why they're doing it. It's because they're losing people. Facebook is losing people. I know it's
Oh,
still
right.
widely used, but they're losing people by the thousands, and it's getting bigger every year. They're going the way of fake MySpace eventually. It's gonna happen.
Oh,
So
yeah, no.
yeah, so
Especially because the nature of Facebook has changed so drastically. That's why people are leaving. Like, y'all don't, I think what people are forgetting in these business worlds is that when these companies started, they were a niche market. And now they're like changing to try to be everything for everybody. And it's like, no, that's what made you different, right? Like, that's what made it different. And yeah, no, I personally am not a fan of it.
I mean, it horrified me when I looked on Amazon and found out they have a pharmacy now. They have a mail order pharmacy now. I cannot.
Like,
Can't.
yeah.
Like
Um,
it's like we're completely ignoring the fact because of technicalities and the way that the companies are structured that these are monopolies. They may not be called monopolies. They may have little rules that change it to being something else. They're fucking monopolies, and we're still letting them continue. I don't get it. I just don't. I have a lot of salt about the situation with Amazon and all these other companies. Because they're monopolies. And we're just letting them do it. I cannot.
I don't know what this is about, but are we crocheting? Yes, yes, we are. I didn't see the vote on orange or yellow. I'm about to go back and see which one for the next color for orange or yellow before, so I know what to switch to. But yes, I'm working on a 9 block um square blanket, and I am 6 blocks in. This is block number 7. Coming down to right, it comes down to money. It really does. I stopped using socials for like actual social stuff. When I needed to use it for professional uses, I would just get burned out. You know, like I saw this tweet and it was like, I remember when Instagram was about showing pictures of your life and not carefully curating your feed. And I was like, right? Like it for people who have been on Instagram a long time, like if you scroll back through their older pictures, it looks so much different from now. Like it looks so much more like it's gotta look perfect, and every picture needs to look like the other picture. And it just looks like it's so time consuming.
Yeah.
Like it just looks like it's so much more work than it used to be. Martha's channel name and info are about to go into the description box. They were in the other one and I didn't switch it over. Another reason why I didn't need to take a nap right before the stream started, because I should have put it in there already. But it's the intuitive artist on Instagram, or on Instagram and on YouTube. Yeah, I heard there are some weird IG rumors, but I didn't chase them down. I can't let go of IG anytime. I'm good with YouTube and Twitter. Yeah, no, I prefer IG, but I prefer IG when it first started compared to what it is now, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I
I just
love
use
when it
Facebook
first
to
started.
connect. Huh? Go ahead.
I loved IG when it first started.
Yeah. I just use Facebook to connect with family across the US. Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok are for writing and fun. So for Facebook, I don't even like I don't even care about Facebook. Like there's one that's up there and it legitimately was only revived because of AuthorTube last year, and that didn't even last but like a few months because I just cannot. TikTok, fortunately TikTok stuff makes it to Instagram and YouTube, so I don't ever have to download the TikTok app. I'm also not a fan of this fast-paced speedy tell stories this way, this short attention span stuff. Like I'm not a fan of it. I just now started regularly watching people's stories because I'm not like it's just not me.
Yeah, I
OMG,
don't like TikTok. I
non-privacy,
like some of the
actual
clips. Sorry.
talking about Amazon is perpetuating imperialism. You know, so here's the thing. It's not Amazon's fault. It's the way we run this country, to be perfectly honest.
It
Like we
wouldn't
run
happen
this
if we didn't allow
country
it.
to highlight you said what?
I said it wouldn't happen if we didn't allow it.
Right. If we didn't allow capitalistic like capitalism to rule this country, like it's so dumb to me. Like to be perfectly honest, and y'all can disagree, I really don't care. Like there's no reason for billionaires. There's no reason. There is no reason for any one human being to have $1 billion. None. None whatsoever. And yet we have legitimate like multiples of
Honestly,
billion.
we would have. Honestly, at least my opinion is the way we're going to deal with this is people need to stop being so materialistic. You take that away, we solve the problem. Because
Well,
once
so it's
that
even
happens,
that. Like
it becomes
it's like because you don't need everything that you get.
Mhm.
Like a lot of times, like, and I say this as somebody who was definitely in a higher tax bracket, making a lot more money than most people I knew with master's degrees. And I lived off of less than 40% of what I made every month. And I lived great, like lived amazingly, still lived in a more bigger, richer like place than other people. And that's when I realized like I didn't like in my head as a kid, I was always like, I want to be a millionaire. I want to be a millionaire. And that was when I realized, like, what would I do if I had $1 million?
just buy more shit.
Not nearly as much as I thought, because I'm not that person. Like,
Yeah,
I'm not that person that needs 5 cars. Why? I can only drive one. At the
right.
most, I'm going to have two-person. So I have a backup, and I guarantee you one is going to be relatively nicer than the other one. But
I mean, don't get
they'll
me wrong.
both
I
be
might
used.
go overboard with the art supplies and the books, but there's certain things people just
Right.
like.
And even then, in that, I know I'm not going to go super overboard because I don't like to buy stuff new. I love used books. I'll go to a half price bookstore in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Like, and so it's really just greed. Like, it's legitimate greed because it's not that you need it. It'd be totally different. I feel like if people needed it, totally different if you needed it. But you don't need $1 billion to live in America.
Well, I will
Like,
say one of the things I've learned is people do this stuff. The greed and all of this materialism comes from a place of people not being able to just sit with themselves. Like you need to get more and more and more because one, you want validation for who you are because that's the way our society is built. Two, you are looking for external, you know, joy instead of finding it within yourself. So that's where it comes from. People need to learn how to just sit in the silence. Just sit in complete silence one day. No music. Don't talk to nobody. Just
see,
sit.
and I don't necessarily feel like that because I feel like for some people, like they had to because they were poor, they lived in silence or without for so
People can
long
do
that
it.
like it creates this like false thing that they gotta like keep getting and keep getting and keep getting because if they don't, something's gonna happen and they're gonna lose it. And it's
That's called lack mentality, and that's a
like
trauma.
it's not a thing. Like it's not that thing that you think it is. Okay, but so yellow or orange? What were the answers? I think I only saw one for each. I think I saw one yellow and one orange. Yeah, so a yellow from Eve and an orange from Valerie. Okay, so I need some answers for what the next color is. Yeah. Go lay down. Thank you. Um, there was someone in my streams who was doing her master's in how the way in which a platform is built dictates the way in which it evolves and used. IG equals curation, Twitter equals SaaS, Facebook equals boomers. Yeah, so Facebook equaling boomers doesn't even make sense because Facebook came out in a millennial time frame.
Yeah,
Like
Facebook
it came
made
out.
for millennials. That's
Right,
why.
it was made for millennials, so that's dumb because it was made for our generation. Like we were like sophomores, juniors, seniors in high school, freshmen, sophomore, juniors, seniors in college. Like
Yeah,
it was specifically for that age range.
I
Like,
mean,
well,
a lot
more
of
so the
people, like,
college.
before Facebook came, when Facebook first came
Right.
out, you had to at least be what was
A
18.
college student, you had to have a edu email to do it, right? And
Yeah,
so, and what, right? So that is definitely not boomers. I don't think Twitter was created for SaaS. I think Twitter was created to be a very minimalistic social media space. Like it wasn't meant for pictures, it wasn't meant for videos, it was meant for short, quick responses, conversational style between people. And that's all like it's still that. Twitter is honestly one of the only spaces that has stayed the same like since its inception. Like
yeah.
like you still only get for most people that pic.com's Twitter, like you don't even get the whole picture unless you click the link. Like it's weird. But I think that that's why Twitter's base has been so significant and so consistent because it hasn't gone through the changes like Facebook has. Like I feel like Twitter's only went through like maybe one or two big like platform style changes. Facebook would change dang near every 6 months. You'd have to get used to some new feature that they added or changed. Um,
Honestly, I miss before social media. I mean, I know there's a lot of drama involving like being out with physical people right now, but there's just something special about going to a coffee shop with your friend and writing or doing
yeah,
whatever it is you do.
me personally, like honestly, I would prefer to go back to MySpace days. I loved that version of social media, that very specific to you, your personality, what you like,
Yeah,
that
I did
that
enjoy
type of social media. I liked that because I felt like with MySpace, you definitely got more of what someone's personality was than
it.
you do with the other ones. But that's just me.
Plus, at that point in time, people were still going out and interacting physically with each other, so it was
Right.
like it didn't suck you in and you forget that there's a real world out there. At least when I first started doing it. Of course, I was in high school, so.
Right. Fun thing I learned this year: Sweden pays PhD students for going to school, not grants, not loans, not scholarship, salary. Oh wow, yeah. So I know that I know for most of the PhD fields that I was looking at, like you get a salary or whatever, like for doing it, but it's not nothing. It's like less than 20,000. I honestly wish I had more money to buy from Etsy and other small businesses more often. Yeah, for sure. Okay, I got another yellow and another orange. We're tied. Okay, yellow is winning right now. Wow, I jumped into an unexpectedly deep discussion there. Hi, I hope everyone is having a lovely day. Yes, we are. I feel like Facebook
Whenever
is
me and her talk, it
boomers
usually ends
because
up.
I can. Huh?
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was just saying, usually when me and you talk, it does end up deep. That's just where we go.
Oh, right. I feel like Facebook is more for boomers because I came from MySpace and only jumped to Facebook because MySpace was going down. See, so here's the thing. I don't think people know the right classifications of generations. Like, I don't think people know the right classification. They're not like talking down on you or anything like that. I feel like people feel that now because older people are on Facebook. But if you go back to when Facebook first started, nobody's parents were on Facebook.
Nope, not nobody.
Nobody's parents were on Facebook.
had beepers
like
still.
I graduated college before my grandpa got on Facebook, and that would be like my generational like difference. And that was I graduated in 2013. So I think that I think that that's a big misconception. Like I think, and the reason I think that is I've heard people like refer to people as boomers, and I was like, y'all do realize there's a whole generation after boomers, right? And before millennials.
And that's the thing too, is there's a lot of millennials who don't even get that they're a millennial. Like I get into arguments with people who were born in 1980 who don't want to admit they're millennials, and I'm like, you are a millennial. Do you not get what that means?
Right. Like you are. Like, and more so specifically is, and I would definitely say like 80, 82, 83 on for sure. Just more so like you do have a differences in things that you have, specifically because if you're born in the early 80s, you more than likely were actually raised by a boomer or the generation before. Like that's usually what happens. Most people who are millennials born in the later end of millennials, the late 80s and 90s, most of your parents are Gen Xers, and everybody forgets that Gen X freaking exists.
Yeah.
Like boomers are like boomers stopped in the 60s, y'all.
Well, see, this is people. I'm starting to realize that people are defining millennials as they think it's a certain behavior we have,
right? And not what it is.
It is an era you were born
right.
in.
It's an era of time of when you grew up, right?
Like it's going to be different if you were raised by a boomer. I was born in '88, but I was raised by a boomer. So even though I am technically should have been a Gen Xer's kid, I'm not. So I act a little different than the younger, the 92.
Exactly. Like, so my grandmother and mother are so close in age that both of them are technically boomers. Yeah. But my grandmother raised me. So like there's so much that like for me, it is like boomer time frame and whatnot. And that's why like when people say boomer, I'm like, y'all don't act like these are not how boomers act. Like at all, like not at all. But it's because one, people don't really understand generations, because my whole life up until the end of the 2000s, I wasn't called a millennial. I was called Gen Y. That's why like I thought millennials were younger than us at first, because the way they kept talking about it, I was like, well,
Well, see, the thing is that, I mean, there's a lot of generational information that goes into it, but the part that I tend to stick to personally is that we are the technology boom generation. That is what we are.
Right.
Social media.
We're the ones that grew up with, like, school, computers starting in our school time frame and not, like, our high school years. Like, there's a difference there, right? Yeah. I would say just popping in to say hi. England are playing Italy in a big football match, so the entire country is watching. Hope you guys have a good time, though. Yeah, no, I've been hearing all about that. I know who you're going for. Twitter fixed the PC crop. The pics are bigger now. Nice. The pic crop.
Twitter, it's just too fast. I'm just like, no, I need that little bit more space to talk. Okay. Can't do that.
I'm landing anything with Melody Relody on other platforms. Just lots of SM research articles. Not landing got you, but I've subscribed to you, so maybe I'll catch up decently. Got it. But Facebook has evolved to appeal to older people because that's who has the money. Yeah. Oh yeah. And I'm pretty sure that it has definitely evolved. I was just talking about the start, and that being the difference. I'm officially a geriatric millennial, Martha. I'm an elder millennial. Right. We're elder millennials and we're born in 90. Right. So.
See, I'm like almost geriatric only because I act like a geriatric millennial.
Right. Again, I'm a millennial. So they are boomers. Most of my friends' parents are Gen X. Right. My older sisters are Gen X, and it shows with their Gen Z kids.
Yeah, my older
generation. See, and that's like the odd part of those of us who were raised by boomers, because I played Oregon Trail.
Me too.
Constantly.
I'm not
right. And then I have people that are within the same age range of me that didn't. Like, I grew up with a computer in the house. We had computers in my elementary school. Like these were things that were like a part of like my growing up that for other people, right, it's not.
Well, see,
I
like
was
my oldest sister is 46. Her oldest
right,
daughter is only 4 years younger than me. She's a millennial, but then her brothers and sister are actually Gen Z. So this is where the
right.
confusion happens. It depends on when they had the kids.
Right. Yeah, because like my brothers, so my brothers are born in 81 and 82. So they're like right on like the end of the Gen X, beginning of the millennial like time frame, like that switch into one and coming into the new one. And so like there are like some things that are like really clear and then some that aren't, like as far as like what they know and what they don't. But also for them, because they are older, their parents, like we have the same dad. Our dad is a gen is a boomer, but our dad is a boomer and their mom is a boomer. Like my mom is like a boomer at like the very end, because I think she's like the end of the 60s.
Yeah. And my mom, she's a
Yeah.
boomer.
So
She was at work.
my mom is Gen X, my dad is boomer.
My
Yeah.
grandmother actually who had me majority of the time, and she's part of the what was it,
The
great
silent generation? Is it the silent one or the forgotten one?
greatest generation. It's one of the two. I can't remember.
Yeah.
She's born in 1929, so right before the Great Depression. So that's why sometimes I come across like a Gen X when I'm not.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, no. So my grandma, like, so my grandfather is not a boomer. My grandmother is a boomer. My mom is Gen X. My dad is a boomer. Like, so that even tells you the changes in generation based off of your parents and how you're raised compared to now. Like, because again, right now you could technically be what, the Gen Z or neo millennials and millennials and be in a relationship, but your generation are so far off. What you've
Yeah,
experienced is so very different.
and then also you have to remember, like 1980. Yeah, technically they're in that weird in between of Gen
Right.
X and millennial. They're in that weird shift. So
Right.
it's more complicated. But I'm so sick
Right.
and
Like
tired.
at the beginning of any decade, you are in that weird position of what that last generation is coming off of, period.
But I'm
Right?
so sick
Like
and tired of people
the
born in
end of the
1984
'80s, the beginning of the '90s, we have that, still using cassette tapes, CDs and DVD players becoming a thing, right? We still have Walkmans being a thing. Like those are things that we know.
Yeah.
But that late 99 2000s, they don't know that, but they're still within that same decade of 90, you know what I mean? Of
Yeah.
89 and 90. So it's
I
just
just know I'm sick and tired of people born in 1983 trying to act like they're Gen Xers. I'm like, honey, you know you're not. Stop.
Right. I feel it. That's why, like, I'm one of those people that I'm like, that's why whenever I meet like someone born in like 98, 99, and they're like, I'm a millennial, and I'm like, but you're not.
You're like a millennial fetus.
Like you're like, no. Like the way you grew up is completely different. By the time you hit elementary school, social media was a thing. It was not a thing for us until we got to high school. Some of us middle school, we're at the very end of that. But at the very least, right.
Those are the ones people keep complaining about, and I'm sitting here like, I'm a millennial. And then they blink.
I'm a millennial. I don't do that. And then you realize who they're talking about, and you're like, bruh, we're not even cut the same.
Like, no. They look at me like I'm crazy. Like, you can't be a millennial. You're too mature. I'm like, that's because you're wrong.
No, you're right. It's because you don't know where millennials start. It's because y'all be taking whatever anybody say and be like, oh, they must be a millennial. No.
Oh, and then Sunday, I guess at one point they were trying to come up with another term called a zillennial. And I'm like, stop making up words. You're a millennial. Stop.
Right, man. Y'all don't know how long it took for millennials to accept the word millennial. We were all like, what is this?
Right? I'm just like,
we just knew you couldn't be talking about us.
But like I said, I think a lot of it they keep like putting these specific character traits into the generations instead of understanding where they come from and why the generation is the way it is. With the technology boom,
that's part of why that Gen Z culture skit didn't go land over well with with SNL, because you were attributing things that have nothing to do with this age range of people growing up, and it actually has to do with this culture of people, like, because you're just putting these into things. Like, I just wish we as a generation of people, and by generation I mean everybody that's alive right now, had better deductive reasoning skills. I just personally, if I could make a plea for the human race, it would be for us to have better deductive reasoning skills, because the correlations we be putting together make no sense.
Yeah. I just wish people would listen to each other, and maybe we wouldn't be passing around incorrect information.
Right, that part. Leaving a like and a hello. Hey, Matthias, so glad you got to come through and leave a like. Hopefully you'll be able to catch us next time we get some writing done. Cross-generational marriage, right? Like, it was a thing. Walkmans to do gardening shooters. Man, Walkmans to walk to school, to walk to the bus stop, listening to your favorite song.
I miss them. And the only reason I miss Walkmans is just because some of them looked really cool. I was one of those.
Or when you got to brag because you bought that one that had that anti-skip when you got the CD, so you could move a little bit, run a little bit, and it didn't jump and scratch or nothing. Man, it was a lot.
I was also that kid, one of those kids, the Tamagotchi generation. We are.
For sure. Yeah, I had one of those.
I felt so much better than everyone else.
I was definitely not one of those that was good at it. I thought I was, but you
just let them die. But who cares? It's just
I didn't let them die. I fell asleep and woke up, and the next morning they died. There's a difference. When I was awake, they ate and everything. Now I can't help what happens when I gotta go to sleep.
Freaking neglecting the Tamagotchi.
First of all, see, and this is how kids get taken away. People be like, "You was neglecting." No, I wasn't. I was asleep.
Taken away. You call Tamagotchi. You got to go to court over it.
Right. Man, I'm from the generation where we still played school outside.
Right?
Like that's different. If you have never played school, and I don't mean like in elementary school you played it, but like you were like 13, 14, 15, like, hey, let's do, because that's what you did, because you had to be outside. That's why it's always weird when people are like, oh, it's the video games. Like, we had video games. My grandma still made us get outside.
See, that's the thing that's weird. I mean, I get that, like, around here it's because it's so hot, but I'm one of those people, even when I'm partying as an adult, like, say I'm drinking or something, I want to sit outside. I like going outside because I was raised to play outside.
Right. Raised to go outside. Like
I don't know how people say.
Grandma would legit, like, it'd be like the morning, and she's in the kitchen making sandwiches, making one of, y'all know them big old drink coolers that has the little thing, the spigot, and you can like put your drink in and it'll come out, that they have at like picnics and stuff. Grandma make a whole bunch of sandwiches, put them in Ziploc bags, put some chips out there, and one of those things full of Kool-Aid, and lock the door and be like, y'all outside until the sun go down. Once the street lights come on, y'all come in the house. Because one, you wasn't gonna be running in and out, and two, you wasn't gonna be inside the house in front of the TV all day.
Right. I don't know how people. I mean, I get people with health issues having to do it, but if you are a person who doesn't have health issues, I don't get how someone can stay inside all day long. Like, I get horrible cabin fever.
Man. And here's the thing is, when people are like, no, it makes sense. No, it don't, or else y'all wouldn't have been trying to boycott being in the house for the last year.
Right?
Like, you obviously understand that there are some benefits to it. Like, that's not something I'm making up.
Right?
You guys, I am loving this red on yellow. No lie.
I'm just loving freaking glazing. I've never done this technique.
What'd you say?
Oh, sorry. I was just saying I've never done this technique before, and I'm loving it. I feel like I'm like one of those classical painters. I'm gonna be Mark the classical painter in 2022.
I love it.
Because no matter how hard I try it. I mean, I
speaking
do.
into existence, right? Nobody who was painting while they were actively painting thought that they would be a classic, right? Is
Right.
what happens after the fact. So speaking into existence.
The thing is, it's like I enjoy digital art. It's not that I don't enjoy it, but there's just nothing like holding an actual paintbrush. I can't get beyond that. I just can't. It's not the same.
That part. Actually, this comment right here. We used to go on picnics with our friends, ride our bikes, and play sports, hide and seek outside. First of all, whenever I meet a kid who has never been outside catching fireflies, I automatically side eye their parent. What you mean? You don't know the thrill of catching fireflies? You
Well,
don't know
I'm seeing these kids
you
when their
don't
parents
know what that's
are
like?
outside, and they're
You
on
said
their
what now?
like the parents
Right,
will see their kids outside and they're still on their phones, and I'm like, did you realize
man.
that we exist in a 3D reality that does not include ones and zeros, right?
Man, that's
Realize
hilarious.
that. Like if our internet and everything shut down, we would have everybody would have a panic attack. Like I'd just be sitting here like I'm gonna paint today, but most people would have a panic.
Right, like I'm a crochet. Like legitimately, the suckiest part is that I won't be able to listen to audiobooks because I don't ever pay for audiobooks.
Yeah.
But the physical books I got would keep me entertained for forever.
I
Like
mean,
there are so
just
many
talking to
other
people,
things.
like,
Yeah, no.
no, that's about it.
I'm definitely one of those people that whenever I see or realize like I feel like I am too much into my phone, like I try to do things where like, oh, I won't be on my phone for like this whole section, or I won't be in the group chat, or I won't do this because like there needs to be some space and time away from it. And I think that without even trying to, we get super, super consumed in these things because that's the way of how technology is changing, how we connect as humans and what we do, right? So,
I think honestly the way we connect as humans is being severely hurt,
oh, I completely agree.
especially when it
Completely.
comes to intimate relationships,
Well,
because
especially because we like I think a lot of people really do associate friendship with being connected on social media. Like let me be perfectly clear. Just because I follow you and you follow me on social media do not mean we are friends. Does not mean you even really truly know anything about me other than what I choose to let you see.
yeah,
And in most places it's public consumption. So it's what I choose to let any stranger see. And I think that's something that people forget about. Like you really don't know. And I realize that in so many of the influencers I follow and creators I follow recently have been talking about how people feel like they can give them advice or they can talk to them about certain things. And it's like, but we have no personal relationship. All you do is follow me on social media. What makes you think we can have this conversation or we're this close or any of those things? And me personally, that's not something I ever would have thought, right? Like I wouldn't think that just because I follow somebody on social media, I can call them and tell them, hey, my grandma died and I'm having a really hard.
you froze. Yep. Just waiting for her to unfreeze or come back or whatever. That just happened. All right, so I'm gonna read your thing, even though I have to squint. It's really small. I love catching fireflies. I've never caught a firefly, but that's because I was born in Arizona and we don't have them here. So I've only ever seen it in movies and stuff. Yes, you can get physical books everywhere. Yeah, I also love physical books. Like, don't get me wrong, when I'm like laying in bed and I want all the lights off because it's hot, ebooks do help because of the backlight. But I do love holding a physical book. So it's the same thing with books. Same thing with art. Even like art, I probably would never buy digital art. Like, as prints, I would probably only ever like I might look at admire it online, but I don't think I'd ever pay for digital art. If I'm gonna pay for art, it's probably going to be traditionally created. That's just a personal preference I've always had. So yeah, there's just something about touching the real thing. I mean, hell, I don't even like buying prints of art. I would rather buy the original. But sometimes I have to get the print because I don't have the money. Oh yeah, like just put it everywhere, all over the house. I mean, if I wasn't like so restricted to this room because my mother is a hoarder and has too much crap, so most of my stuff is in here. Once I move into my own place, it's gonna be art everywhere. Mostly my art, but I'm gonna buy other people's art. Most likely, she's just trying to get her internet back on. Maybe it started storming or something. Who knows? Audiobooks. Yeah, I sometimes listen to audiobooks. Sometimes, but there's times when I just like reading the book. No, it's not weird reading along. I was keeping them entertained.
Yeah, no, you're fine. Yeah, no. So, my phone overheated, and it was like, yeah, your phone's not dead, but it's too hot, and so we're not gonna open anything, and we're not gonna let you fix the fact that the internet isn't working or whatever. So, it's
Yeah.
sitting in the freezer right now, getting cool. So there's that. But yeah, no, I like to do this too. Specifically because I read faster than the audiobooks go. So sometimes it helps me to get to the end of a book. So But also, y'all, here is what the red and yellow look like
Actually, I
so
like
far.
that.
Yeah, no, it like I said, like when I was looking, I was like, dang, this looks really good.
Where's my tab? I have so many freaking like technology things around here. Half the time, I don't know where I put them all.
Hmm. I
'Cause I
like how
have.
I can touch and place everywhere. Yeah, no, I love like there are so many paintings in my living room, and I love it, and I want to add so many more. Because I love being able to look at it. So I see that.
Yeah, I was telling them while you were gone that I don't dislike digital art, but I probably would never actually buy it because I
Mhm.
like traditional art. I like having something that was made with someone's hands and not with ones and zeros.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
So
no,
that's
I like digital art. But you know, a lot of digital artists like make prints and stuff now. So yeah, so I like all forms. I like seeing the differences, right? Like I like even those people that take collages of pictures to make one big picture. Like, and it's not necessarily I love those. I think those are amazing. You said what did you say what those were called?
photo manipulation.
Photo manipulation. Yeah, like I like those. And
I mean,
specifically more so like the ones that are like 1,000 little pictures that make one big picture, not like they're like changed or anything. Now do
oh,
you get what I'm saying?
I don't know what those are called.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's why I was like, wait, no, it's not photo manipulation. Because I'm not talking about like the people that like add to, but it's like all of their work. I have to like find one and send it to you, but I don't know what it's called. But I love those.
Yeah,
And I want to get a few of those print, like bought and framed in the house.
well, that's the thing is I love all the different forms of art. It's just when it comes to physically having it, just having an
Yeah,
acrylic painting is just not. It's different than having something that was created on a computer. There's just
yeah. That's how I feel about NFTs though. So I feel you. Like I'm not paying for an NFT. Like I can't see me buying one.
it's an NFT.
So it's pretty much what you're saying. Like it's like digital forms of like baseball cards or like
Oh,
it's like the originals for digital files type of thing like that people buy. It's
oh yeah,
weird.
like
I'm not
they started making tarot apps, and I just can't get it with that. Like I want the physical tarot cards, okay?
yeah, yeah.
So I get what you mean. I don't know.
Yeah, right. Like there are so many things that we have digital forms of things now, but I am still a fan of the physical.
Yeah, I mean, I
Like I
think
love
you were gone. The ebooks I can use like if I'm laying down and I don't want any lights on because it's too hot, than my Kindle. But I'd rather read the physical book.
yeah, no, yeah, yeah, no. I prefer physical to any and everything more times than not. But I think everyone does have their place. Like I see the benefits for the other things as well.
Yeah, I just everything has their time and their place. I just think we've gotten to a point of overuse of technology. To the, like way
Oh
over.
yeah, for sure.
If the world collapsed, how many people on this planet? Half of them will know what to do. Probably less than half because I think half the world is like Africa.
Yeah,
It's
because I'm gonna
not.
say I feel like half of the world doesn't have internet already, right? Like
Yeah,
it's
so
not
probably
as common as we think.
so I'd say the entire first and second world, most of the half of that would collapse because it's like yeah, places that aren't like there's still African tribes that are completely cut off from people and they purposely cut themselves off. They would thrive either way. Us, we lose all
Right,
our technologies, our satellites. Well, we're screwed. Like we're freaking screwed.
right. And the crazy part is we would think that they weren't thriving because they didn't have what we have for whatever reason that means.
Thriving means it's like our definition of thriving is screwed up. That's why we
Oh,
think
for
having
sure, definitely. We have a very Americanized, westernized view of what success and living in life truly is.
yeah. joy is thriving, and you don't have to have things to have joy. But that's something they don't teach, because they teach us, like parents teach kids, the same crap they were taught. So now we create this chain of bad, a lack of understanding of what true fulfillment is. And some of it is trauma-based, because that's a lot of why the millennial generation is so clinging so much to technology. It's trauma. That's all the trauma response. So it's just all screwed up. Somebody needs to do something. No one can really do anything, because each individual person has to do it themselves. Oh.
Okay, so now I'm trying to decide, do I want to do more than 2 rows of the yellow or not?
Wings, but they are so tedious.
Man, not as much. I bet it's not as bad as that one that you did that you thought was tedious.
Oh, with all the crystals?
Was it that one? That was it. It was one that you were like, "Oh my god, I want to be done. I want to be done," and you
I
were
think
nowhere.
it was the crystal ones, because there was just so many crystals on it that I was
Yeah.
dying. But this one's a little bit easier, because I'm painting, and painting, you don't hold it as tightly, and you don't have to put as much pressure. But with the crystal ones, I was using colored pencils, so my wrist was starting to hurt.
Actually, my entire back is covered in tattoos, so that's my opinion on tattoos.
My opinion on tattoos is it's art, and it's got to
Right.
go
It's
somewhere.
an art form. It's a form. It's an art form. It's a form of self-expression. I love it.
As you
I
can
love it.
see,
I love it.
if you notice, I have a tattoo. I have two.
I'm about to say, yeah. I was like, maybe you can't see them, but yeah, no. And again, I know you can't see my back. My entire back is covered from the bottom of my neck to right in between the dimples in my back. I
Thing is
love it. I love it. I
tattoos
love it. I love it.
really were an art form.
Like something changed.
Yeah, like
Yeah, I think I have 16 total.
that is a lot.
I see thigh meat.
Yeah, you got my thighs.
Then
There's
I want to get another one. I haven't gotten a new tattoo since 2017. I would like to get another one.
sorry, my phone was just
Okay,
overheating.
let's
Like, yeah.
right now. I think I can take mine out the freezer now. I'm about to go do that. Be right back.
It's fully charged. It's 80%. You're just gonna have to like work for me. Oh, but I'm about to say. Oh, that's why the mic was on. Okay, sorry. Anyways, so what I was about to say was, and the thing is at one point tattoos had a spiritual meaning, so it's evolved over time. But
Right. Okay. So
Yeah, my phone is just over here being a little trooper. That's all.
Okay, so for those of y'all who still here, it says we got 6 people still here. So I have 2 rows around the yellow. Should I continue to do more yellow? Should I change to orange? Should I change to red? What are y'all voting on? However, y'all vote the most or whatever is what I'll do next. So this will be the one y'all YouTube helped me decide. Twin! Hey, twin. Hey. Sharing Forge, everybody. They stream on Twitch and then they let the videos go up on YouTube. So you should definitely check them out because, first of all, my twins' makeup looks are unmatched. I I'm always enthralled. Like the eyeshadow, the lipstick, I'd be like goals. Y'all know me, I don't really do makeup like that. But I love to look at it. I think it's awesome. All my tattoos have a special meaning. Yeah, me too. I don't think I got any tattoo willy nilly. Like I've never been that person to just get something to get something. You're welcome. You know I love your looks. I think they're awesome. Titan, you don't need to drown in that water, buddy.
Yeah, I have the 2 tattoos I have. I got for a reason, and like the next tattoos I'm gonna get for a reason.
Yeah. Yeah, no. Yeah, all of mine are for a reason. Also, I'm not as big of a fan of small tattoos. I'm definitely a big tattoo person. Go hard or go home. So
Yeah, I don't know if I'd be able. Maybe one day I'll try it, but I don't know if I'd be able to handle getting a
do
large.
the rainbow or orange ones. I don't have a rainbow, but orange. Yeah, so they're alternating. Okay, I'll show y'all the other ones just so that you have like an idea. Okay, so this is the only spiral one I've done. The last 2 are gonna be spirals. One's gonna start like how this starts with yellow. One is gonna start with orange, and one is gonna start with red. But I haven't figured out how I'm gonna do the spiral yet. Well, the one I'm doing now is a granny spike stitch. So it's like this one. This one started with orange, and where's the other one? Because it started with yellow, and then this one started with yellow. So this one I did like every 2. I just did 2 rows of each color. This one I mixed it up a little bit. So yeah, so I'm trying to decide what's the best way to go for this one. And then these are the other 3. Now these 3 are just traditional granny squares. So this one started with red. This one started with yellow. And then this one started with orange. So interestingly enough, only on this one out of these 3 did I not go back to the original color on the third color. So that's interesting. This goes back to the original color. So yeah, so I don't know. I don't know. So that now y'all kind of got an idea, so you can tell me what you think should go next. I do know that whatever I do, I don't want this to end in red, yellow, and orange because this ends in red, yellow, orange. So I definitely want to change the ending up of this. But that's all I got so far.
You're like, that's all I have to say.
That's all I got so far, y'all. That's all I got. But that does give me 6 of the 9. Those wings are beautiful. They are. They are. They are. They are.
Well, thank you. Yeah, tedious too, but that's okay. It's worth it.
That reminds me, what am I gonna eat for lunch?
And
I
you
don't
don't
know
see it right now
exactly what I'm
because
eating, but I support your choices, and my favorite color is orange, so I already love this blanket. Okay, so it sounds like orange is the next color. So, okay, so before I go to orange, does that mean leave the yellow at 2 or do another row of yellow and then do the orange? Or another 2 rows of yellow and then do the orange? What are our thoughts?
I have no idea.
Mhm.
But what I was gonna say is, what was I? I forgot what I was gonna say.
I'm sorry.
Oh, it's fine. I was just like, what was I gonna say? Now I'm gonna be worrying about that until I figure it out.
Okay, twin says another row of yellow. What says you, Ashley?
So something I'm gonna do
Mm-hmm.
is you're probably gonna see a lot of art with angel wings coming from me because I just love angels. Like it's one of the things I've always loved. Even in the books I wrote, they featured angels. So
Mm-hmm.
the next few paintings I have are probably going, except for one, because let me so I can show you guys. You've probably seen this one, but this one doesn't feature an angel, but that's just because I am doing something else with it.
Turn it the other way, like with the spirals, like up, it's facing the ceiling, because I can't really see it the way that you're holding it. Okay, yeah, now I can see it. Oh, okay. Her hands are in her hair.
Yeah, the thing is, it's the reason
Yeah.
I have it that way is because this is actually the way it's supposed to be. She's laying down.
Uh, yeah, no, 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 that's fine. I just couldn't see, like the way that the lighting was hit. I could see her, but I couldn't see her hands or her hair, and so that's why. Yeah.
Yeah, and the part where it's really light, so you can't see it right here.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually waves, like it's gonna be an ocean storm.
Okay,
Fades into her hair. So there, that was that.
that's cool.
But like this one, I sketched this guy out from a reference photo. He's gonna be an angel. I just have,
Oh, nice.
yeah. And I think you saw this one. I think I saw you like it on Instagram. This one, I don't know what it's gonna be, but
Yeah. I like that one. I did. I saw that one on Instagram.
yeah,
I
that
was
one.
gonna say I saw a few on Instagram. That's the other thing I don't like. Instagram doesn't show everybody's stuff anymore. Like, and it shows stuff days old or like behind. Like, it's weird. I hate it. I hate it. I
Frustrating.
hate it.
They're doing what Facebook groups are doing now.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah, because Facebook does that, and I think YouTube does it a little bit too, but not as much. Then there's this one. This one was weird, and I was just like, I don't know what I'm smoking,
Can
but I like it.
you tilt it just a little bit? Because it's like I can't see the like lighting the other way.
The other way.
There we go. Okay, I can see more of it. Is she like in water?
No, what it is there's like clouds coming out of her head and wrapping
Oh,
around her heart. But then if you look at her skin, you'll see that the parts that connect her heart to our brain are going up. So it's kind of like it's cycling back through her over and over and over.
okay.
So it's pretty much a reference to if you're gonna do something with your mind, your logic, your ego, filter it through your heart first.
Sherry says they love that last sketch. I think they were talking about the two of them, the one with the two faces. I think that's what they're talking about, but I'm not entirely sure.
This
And they
one,
said it's so emotional and raw. I think that was the one that they were talking about. And then they said, I think the fourth sketch is giving me Druid vibes. I think that was the last one.
yeah,
And they say, OMG, that's deep. It's like putting empathy into your logic.
yeah,
Ashley also says you're a great artist.
thank you. Yeah, one of the things that my spiritual path is teaching me, and I always filter everything that I learn emotionally, is that everything you do and say, speak your authentic truth, but always filter it through compassion. And that's kind of what that painting is trying to say. It just be sometimes you don't need to say everything you think, especially if it's
Very,
passionate.
Very true. Yeah, I'm definitely the queen of like, I'm gonna just bite my tongue on that one.
Yeah, and that's something I've had to learn because it's kind of like I'm a very passionate person, so sometimes things will come out of my mouth that I probably should have said. And then I'm dealing with other people's feelings, and I'm just sitting here like, okay, so we need to like reevaluate yourself for 5 minutes here. So, I spend my time looking at my own shit and evaluating it a lot. So it all comes out in my art. But yeah, thanks. I got really excited about the guy though, because drawing a man with a beard used to be really hard for me. Drawing men in general used to be really hard for me. And then I stopped drawing for 10 years. No, I stopped drawing for 5 years, then started again. It was still hard. And then it's been 5 years since I last did art, and now all of a sudden I'm just drawing men with no problem. So I don't know what that's about, but I think a lot of it is I'm just letting it flow out of me instead of overthinking it. Because when you overthink, that actually stops your creativity. You need to. There's a YouTube channel that was just started. It's a writing YouTube channel, but it's created by a writer who's also a tarot reader. And one of the videos that she made, I really like it. It was on writing from a spiritual standpoint. And something she said really like stuck with me is that we need to stop thinking as the art as our own creation. We're filtering it from source, God, the universe, whatever it is you believe in. If you stop thinking of it as your creation, that takes some of the pressure off and you allow it to flow. So yeah, just don't think of it as you creating it. Think of it as it filtering through your understanding out of you. But it comes from source, universe, God, whatever. And this applies to all forms of creation. So yeah, I like that because it takes some of the pressure off.
Yeah. Ooh, this light is giving me a headache. Ashley says, I love all the sketches. Sherry says, they are Sag. My Mercury is also in Sag. I can get really precise and targeted in my takedowns.
Honey, I'm a Virgo. I dropped the hammer hard. Well, I'm a Virgo. Okay, I'm a Virgo sun. I'm a Capricorn rising and a Scorpio moon. And Scorpio moons tend to be extremely petty. That's why most people don't like that moon sign. We're very petty because we're very emotional. So sometimes that turns into pettiness if we let it get out of control. And then Virgos are just judgmental. Capricorns micromanage everybody. So the three combinations, I drop the hammer, I drop it hard, and it's not fun to listen to. Especially if you're an emotional person yourself. Like, Cash can handle it, but that's because she's got a lot of Capricorn in her chart. But a lot of other people I've made cry.
Yeah, no, I'm one of those where I'm super logical and emotion doesn't run into most things. And then when it does, it's mostly anger. Like it's not necessarily a positive emotion. But thank you so much for keeping the shower on or the stream on while you shower, Ashley. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Melanie says, "Hey everyone, so sorry I'm late. Just wanted to pop in and say hello. We appreciate you doing that. Ooh, I love this topic. I'm a Libra sun, Taurus rising, Sag moon. Sherry says they are a Scorpio moon, and OMG says I can listen while I'm in there. So I'm curious, Sherry. We should share our charts because I'm curious how similar they are with us having the same birthday.
Yeah, I have Mercury in Libra.
Because I think my moon is Scorpio too. Because I think I only got Scorpio in 2 places.
When I looked at your chart, you have. I can't remember. I think your moon was in Capricorn.
Was it in Capricorn?
Yeah, most of your planets are in Capricorn.
Yeah, no, I knew most of my planets were. I can't remember.
I remember what moon was in Capricorn as well.
Yeah, I'll find mine and then I'll send it to you. I thought I screenshotted it before, but
What
I
was it?
could.
Scorpio? What you have in Scorpio is Pluto, but that's all millennials because of how long Pluto takes to go around the sun. Like all millennials have Pluto in Scorpio because that's our womb as a collective. I mean, I'm not exactly sure if people born in 1980 have Pluto in Scorpio or not, but most of the millennial generation has Scorpio and Pluto. Yeah, I have my Scorpio and Moon in Scorpio, and then I have Pluto in Scorpio, and I also have, but then I have what I have in Sagittarius is Saturn and Uranus. Yeah, in my natal chart. So, yeah. But in Vedic astrology, I'm a Sagittarius rising. Vedic astrology is it's an astrology in India, and it's based off the measurements of where the planets and stuff are in space versus on Earth, if I'm getting that right. There's a difference. So because of where the degree is in my chart, I'm actually a Leo sun in Vedic and a Virgo sun in Western. Because I sit in that weird in between. But all the aspects are the same no matter which chart you look at.
Yeah.
It's just the signs change.
Oh yeah, no. Then ours are very different because I'm not evenly split between Sag or Scorpio. Like I'm not evenly split between anything. Like I have Capricorn more than anything else. Wait, I feel like this is not the same one because this one.
I don't know anything about astrology being updated every single time I turn around. They want to change things around. Like I heard they were trying to add back in one of the 13th signs. I ignore it. So I'm a Virgo sun, but I'm a Leo sun in Vedic. That's what I stick with. Yeah, astrology can get complicated, but them trying to change stuff makes it more complicated. Yeah, I follow a professional astrologer. Her name is I can't remember. I'm horrible. But yeah, I follow her on YouTube and Instagram, and she actually teaches astrology, and she teaches it like the Virgo way because she is a Virgo sun. So she teaches it very like educational, logical. But then I also follow others that are more intuitive astrologers. Oh yeah, that astrologers don't follow that. like most professional astrologers don't follow that. So I don't know what that's about. At least majority of the professional astrologers I follow, they don't they no. That 13th sign, they don't even acknowledge it. So yeah, I know that 13th sign was like based off of long time ago, and I think it has another name. I think that astrology has a completely different name. I could be wrong though. There's Western astrology, there's Vedic astrology, there's Vedic something astrology, then there's some other astrology. There's a lot of different kinds depending on who you are. But most people go by Western, which is only the 12.
I don't know none. I said, y'all know I don't know none of it. None of it.
Yeah, the one you should just worry about is the Western, the Western that's based off the 12 signs and only the 12 signs. That's the common one in the United States and most of Europe. And then we talk about the Chinese. Did you know that you actually have more than one Chinese zodiac. Like you're not just, the year. There's actually a month and a day too. I found that out. Most people are like with me, I'm in the year of the dragon, and that's all they have to tell us, but there's actually a month and a day. I think I'm a goat or something in my month. Yeah, there's 3 of them. But then there's other parts to it, like the actual astrology chart based in Chinese astrology is actually more and deeper than what we know. I found a YouTube channel who does all that stuff, and then they had other videos and they're talking about like the actual full-on chart of the Chinese zodiac and how there's 3 signs. The one that's the most affected, has the most effect on you, if I remember right, is the month. Might be the day. I can't remember. Yeah, I believe it's the year that has the least effect on you, though. The year is the one that's the more broadest. But nobody has the same Chinese zodiac. They're not, just like nobody has the same Western astrology or Vedic astrology chart. Like everybody is different, but down to the very second that you're born. Because the degrees change where that planet is. So, I want to take an astrology class because I found something out, Cash. Oh, I forgot to tell you. Forgot to tell you something I found out. So, there's a thing called synastry, which is when they overlay 2 charts over each other, and usually that's to see if 2 people are compatible, right? Relationship-wise. But there's actually another one where they try to figure out if you want to see if you're marriage material. Because there's a difference between being compatible sexually in relationship and being marriage compatible. And the marriage compatible one is based off what's in your 7th house, what sign is in your 7th house, what planets are in your 7th house, and where Libra is, and where Mercury is. Or no, Libra wasn't Libra, because that's where I am. But it's where your Mercury is in your chart and what's in your 7th house. That's what will determine what kind of healthy marriage you'll have, or what you need to do or be to have a healthy marriage. That's a better way to say it. My example, my 7th house has Chiron in it, and it also is in Cancer. My Mercury is in Libra. So what that means is for me to have a successful marriage, I need to learn how to balance my emotions and communicate them effectively. Which is exactly why all of my relationships have failed, because of the imbalance in emotions and the inability to communicate them correctly. See what I mean? Yeah. So.
Yeah, but question, but like, couldn't that be said for everybody? Like everybody, in order to be good in a marriage, needs to be able to balance their emotions and have good communication skills.
Well, I mean,
Or
obviously, but
is it more like tailored towards you? Is that
it's
what you're
tailored specifically toward me, because part of my life journey is to learn how to balance my emotions. Like with me, someone who has a lot of ups and downs emotionally, everybody has ups and downs, but mine are extreme. So each individual person is different. Because one thing people forget about astrology is we're all 12 signs. Like we're not just 3 signs. We're not just one sign. Each sign is an archetype of the human as a whole. So even if you don't have any of your planets or anything in another sign, that doesn't mean you're not a Taurus. My Aquarius is empty. That doesn't mean I don't have Aquarius's qualities, you know? We're all 12 signs. It's just which sign has the biggest impact on our lives as individuals. And that's what it is. Oh, I'm 915. Yeah, that's one of the things with astrology is people get so like, it's right. People have a hard time taking it seriously because some signs seem like they're exactly like other signs, but you have to pay attention to how that's expressed in the sign. All people have the same emotions. We all have anger, love, sadness, depression. We all have that. It's how it's expressed that makes us individuals. We're all interconnected. So it's not like there aren't going to be things that cross over. But what's important in astrology is a blueprint. It's a blueprint showing you what energies you have strongest in your life. and what
Right.
energy is going to affect certain aspects of your life in a certain way. So, I mean, it gets even more complicated. Like the seventh house, the reason why I'm talking about the seventh house is ruled by Libra. But what the seventh house actually is in astrology, it's about marriage and contracts. So whatever's in your seventh house, say you have like Cancer, that is the area of your life that sign is affecting. So, yes, everybody has to communicate, but in what area do you need to learn how to communicate? Is what matters. Which area are you stronger in communicating than another? So astrology breaks down a little bit further than what most people know.
I'm just listening because I don't know none of this. I don't know. I'm just listening and y'all just be talking because I don't know. I'm not
Oh,
ignoring her or ignoring y'all. I don't have a dog in this, but I don't know nothing. Everything I know, 90% of it is from talking to her. She know I don't be caring. Like everybody, like you have that much Capricorn. I be like, y'all, what do that mean? I don't know what that mean. Like, so yeah, I don't be knowing.
it's
So y'all,
fine. I'm just reading what they
I'm
were
not
saying.
ignoring nobody. I switched the colors like y'all said.
I'm just answering her. It's not that they're not focusing on all 12 signs, because again, there are going to be signs you're just not really that much like, but that doesn't mean you don't have some of those qualities in you. That's what being all 12 signs means. However, if someone is saying they don't feel like they resonate with that sign, most people it's because they're not only paying attention to their sun sign. In reality, something I found out from a professional astrologer, your sun sign actually isn't your most important sign. Your most important sign is your rising sign, and the only way to get your rising sign or your ascendant sign is to know your time of birth, your exact time of birth. And the reason why is because your ascendant sign is what you project out onto people. It's the mask you wear. It's the personality you were raised to have. So you might be like, I mean, I'm a Virgo, so my nature is to think black and white. My nature is to be judgmental. However, my mask is Capricorn, which means that when I will micromanage situations to get shit done. So you'll see more of the Capricorn than you will the Virgo. Sometimes. It depends on what's happening. And some people, they'll be emotional Cancers, but they have a Capricorn rising, so you're not seeing all those damn emotions. You're only seeing the Capricorn. So, yeah, that's used. People just don't understand. That's what it is. Moon signs are more important for you, and that's because that's where that a lot of times is where your shadow resides in your moon, inside of your heart. That's also where your inner child resides. So I think it's more important when it comes to learning yourself and learning how to interact with the rest of the world. But the rest of the world isn't going to really see that. They're going to always see your ascendant for the most part. Like that is what people are going to see is your ascendant sign. And honestly, you need to be able to balance all three. If you can't balance all three because they all make you who you are, then you're gonna have some struggles. You need to learn. Like for the longest time, I shut down my moon. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever seen the tarot card, the devil card. That card is actually the card for Capricorn. It's the devil with Adam and Eve chained. That's actually the card for Capricorn. If you take that image and you use the devil, let's say you are a Capricorn. For me, the devil would be Capricorn in that image, and the man and woman on either side would be Virgo and Scorpio. So I kind of use that analogy to show how my Capricorn nature will sometimes micromanage my other two natures, which puts me off balance and then causes emotional outbursts because Scorpio don't like being held down.
Yeah, I don't know how dark it's gonna be on my end, but I have to cut this light off. So I apologize in advance, but I have to cut this light off above me. Whew, okay, I'm not invisible. I'm still here, so that works.
Oh yeah, shadow work. Shadow work is intense. I just left a cycle. Like I keep going through different cycles of shadow work because you never ever stop shadow work. It's something you'll do for the rest of your life. That's just reality. So when somebody says they're fully healed from their shadow work, they're not. There's more there. It's healing is not linear. Okay, it's not a straight line. So yeah, I've been through a cycle. I just finished a cycle of shadow work where, okay, so as a Scorpio moon, I feel things deeply. When I love you, I love you. Put you inside my book and I will protect you using my Capricorn nature, because that's how that works. And so what I just learned is that my inner world, my moon sign, because I was hurt in so much throughout my childhood, I have always based my emotions around people and how people perceive me versus how I perceive myself. So one of the lessons I had to learn is it doesn't matter what other people think of me. What matters is what I think of me. And I mean, I had to literally like fall on my face to figure that out, because apparently I was that dense, but then I wasn't getting it. So that was something I had to uncover from childhood stuff. That was very, very deep. It was so deep that I thought those aspects were part of my personality when they weren't. They were taught to me. Which I've learned from one spiritual teacher that our personality is actually taught to us anyways. It's not actually our natural inclination. It's taught to us by our parents. So most of us is fake. And it's about being aware of that taught aspect of yourself that makes you more real, more authentic. But if you're not aware of it, that's what the fakeness comes from, because you're hiding. Again, your sin sign is the mask you wear. I have a friend who practices Buddhism. I did, but I just don't like the chanting. It's just not my thing. It's tedious. As you can tell, guys, I don't like the tedious things.
Right. We're not going to talk about how you've been nerding out on astrology so much you haven't touched your painting again.
Nope. Listen, I am a Capricorn. One of the things about Capricorns is we're obsessive. Like, literally, that is one of the big aspects of Capricorn. We get obsessive. Which is also related to addiction, but that's another story. You don't even know. Like, if I want to take the class that my friend is teaching for astrology so I can learn more stuff, it just have them. I have to make it logical to spend that kind of money.
Yeah, I have like 5 or 6 signs in Capricorn. I
Yeah,
feel like there are some things I can be obsessive about, but it's not very many. But that's more so because I realize that like for like again obsessive deals with addiction and addictions run in my family, so I'm very like I work hard to not indulge in that. But that goes back to like a training thing, right? Like I trained myself to not be obsessive and addictive about things because of outward influences.
Oh yeah. Just be careful, because sometimes things that we don't see as addictions are addictions. I mean, I'm not saying you do have one. I'm just saying be aware of
Oh
that.
no, right, no, because like again, I realize an addictive personality is not necessarily drugs or alcohol, right? Like I definitely have learned that, and I think that that's the thing, right? I think one because like watching my dad, like that's what really taught me that addiction has nothing to do with what it is that you're doing. It has to do with the feeling that you get from repeatedly doing this thing and what you attach to that. And so it was watching him that made me be like, oh, let me do this. So yeah, I'm definitely like big on not overindulging on anything that makes me feel pleasant.
To me, I personally, I'm focusing on the healing aspect. It's something I've learned. I mean, not everybody's the same, but most of the time, what I've noticed is people who are alcoholics or people who are addicted, if they don't want to be addicted anymore, they need to deal with what caused it. Otherwise, they're always going to be an addict of some kind.
Right, because addiction is more times than not, addiction is a form of escape.
Yeah.
So
That's why I'm one of those people who
you're
doesn't really agree with people
so you
going to
have
AA
a really good
constantly.
time. What'd you say?
Like, it's how I was saying, that's why I don't really necessarily agree with people constantly going to AA meetings. What they really need to constantly be going to is therapists and to deal with what made them an alcoholic in the first place. That's just my personal opinion based off of what I've seen.
Yeah, no, I've never been to AA, so I don't know like what consists of it to say whether I feel like people should or shouldn't go. But I definitely think that every human being, period, should go to therapy.
Right? I
Like
just
even
know some people who've
who
gone to
thinks that
AA.
there's nothing going on, I still think that everybody should go to therapy.
Oh yeah, everybody should. That's the thing. Is something we have to realize, and this is also something else I've learned in my journey, is that birth itself is traumatizing. Like being born is traumatizing. Okay, you just don't remember it. Everyone has some form of trauma. It comes in different shapes and forms and experiences, but everybody would benefit from therapy. Even if you feel like you don't need it, you probably do in some area of your life.
Yeah,
But that comes with facing what you don't want to face.
right. Thanks for joining. Hope you have a good time meal prepping. Happy Self Care Sunday fun day to you as well. The sharing says they agree with this. Addiction can be seen as a symptom and not the disease. Yeah.
Yep, that's why I'm just like, I'm tired, sick and tired of people saying disease, and I'm like, it's not the alcoholism that's the disease; it's the mental struggle that's the disease. So I'm
Even if
just,
it is a disease, it's not a disease in the same thing. It's in a disease in the way that alcoholism affects the body, like the liver and whatnot. The root of why you have alcoholism is a completely different disease in itself.
yeah, I'm just like when people oversimplify it, oh, the alcohol, like
Oh
that's
yeah, no,
simply
I
what we're
definitely think
saying.
I
Yeah,
definitely think they oversimplify it. And I think that the oversimplification of it of is just a disease is or is just a choice or da 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 da, like that is what has kept people from healing from addiction in the way that they should, because it's not it like addiction isn't an easy thing to come out of because addiction deals with much more than the fact that you do this thing repeatedly.
yep.
And as a society, we treat addiction as just as you do these things repeatedly and not as exactly what it is.
And also one of the problems with society is that we sit here and we try to act like there's something like people don't want to look at their own shit. What they want to do is point fingers. And
Right. Right. Because everybody understands the need to escape from your world. That's
yeah,
why there's movies. That's why there's books. That's why that people go on vacation. Everybody understands the basic concept and need that drives addiction.
yeah. I mean, look at what is the first thing people do sometimes when they break up with someone? They eat a bunch of fucking ice cream. That is a coping mechanism. That is what alcoholism comes from. Like that's where it comes from. That need for a coping mechanism that they do over and over and over again because their trauma is so bad they can't break it. But
Right.
it's like,
Right. I think people forget that a lot of these addictions are triggering responses done from being triggered from something that happens. Like I don't think people realize that, right? Because we understand having a panic attack because somebody triggered you. We understand shutting off and like walking away and stepping back from people because somebody triggered you.
I think some of it is just because people don't know how to find balance. Again, balance has been a big lesson in my life. You have to be able to balance out the fact that yes, that person is responsible for the things that they do. It is their job to stop what they're doing. Yes. However, you have to balance that with the understanding that people trauma is not easy to get beyond. It's just not.
Yeah.
Like you have to balance the two understandings, and that's hard for humans to do. We can't. We always go to extremes.
Go lay down. As Jerry says, exactly, but you have to first be willing to accept that you're not perfect, right? People are discouraged from therapy because it's like an admission of defeat. And I feel like that's also something that needs to change because it's not. Like, you go to school so someone can teach you the things that you don't know, right? Like, therapy, for me, the way that I look at it is someone teaching me the ways to cope and deal with things in life that I don't know. And if we stopped looking at it as a deficit and started looking at it as a tool to better accept, understand, and navigate life, it wouldn't be such an issue, right? Like, because it goes back to our thoughts on marijuana, right? If we thought of marijuana like medicine, nobody would feel any type of way that someone smoked the joint every day, because you don't feel some type of way when someone takes their insulin every day or when someone takes their other medicine. But because we think of it in this negative context, we think, oh, this is an addictive person because they smoke a joint every day. That's not it, right? So it also, for therapy, if you think of therapy as a tool to assist you in having a better a life and a navigating adulthood, you do so much better. And not you, twin, like in general, but just people in general, right? Like, if people didn't think of therapy as where you go when things get rough, and think of therapy as an everyday tool for life, it would change that.
Well, one of
Because,
the
like, even when I'm doing good, I go to therapy. Like, I don't just go to therapy when life is hard.
and there's one thing like that, you may not agree with me, but this is just my point of view. One of the big issues is that we attach mental illness to therapy. And something that I've learned, you want to know the only reason mental illness exists. What is mental illness? Mental illness means that you have been diagnosed with something because it is negatively affecting your life to the point of being visible to the rest of the world. That's literally the only reason mental illness is what mental illness is. Everyone has a form of PTSD. Everyone. Because trauma happens from birth. But someone with PTSD having panic attacks, you can't function, or punching somebody because they jumped out of a nightmare. I'm only generalizing some symptoms, but you get what I mean. These things make it difficult to function, and that's why people get diagnosed. But in reality, people who aren't diagnosed have the same stuff. They're just able to function. So we need to stop separating, saying this person's mentally ill, this person's not. This person's neurotypical, this person's not. We are all non-neurotypical because we are all humans with trauma. Like, literally, just take all that other shit out of it. It would make it so much easier.
Yeah, no, I definitely I can understand what you're coming from. You're right, I don't agree, but I'm also one of those people that I don't agree that everybody is the same and everybody goes through the same things and everything, because they don't. And I think trying to make everybody the same instead of acknowledging that we're different and just accepting that the differences are there is an issue. I feel like when we try to put everything and everybody in the same, we make the fact that people are different a problem, because the same is considered normal. And so that's the only reason I don't agree, is like I don't ever like to do that. But I definitely see your point and your mindset on it for sure.
Well, the thing is like, I definitely see yours. Like, everybody isn't the same, but emotions are all the same, and we all experience emotions. Reasons for those emotions, experiences for those emotions, and the way we express those emotions are what's different. But at the end of the day, all emotions are exactly the same. They do not discriminate. And that's what makes us the same from an emotional context. And I think having that separation between the two, understanding that expression of the emotions and the emotions themselves are not the same thing. They are two separate things.
Yeah, I can see that for sure.
Yeah, and that's what I mean by everybody's the same. Obviously, everybody's different because we're all at different expressions at different points in time throughout history.
Yeah.
Different perceptions. No one's going to look at the world the same, but it isn't. But it isn't about being the same on the outside. It's about being the same on the inside when it comes to the emotions themselves. Just like we all have a beating heart, but some people their lungs are full of tar. Some people have smaller hearts. Some people have bigger hearts. But at the end of the day, blood still pumps through it. And that's what I mean.
Yeah, like I said, I can understand it for sure.
See, yeah, that's the
Hey Jordan, good to see you. From an emotional standpoint, I feel like people are similar, but expression of said emotion differs between people. The expression of mental illness is something that is unsightly to the public world. Yeah, no, no, I definitely like. I agree with you. I feel like people do feel like things and everything like that, but I do feel like the expression is very different. I also think the things that make people feel are completely different, right? Like for me, things that make me emotional are like one. There's not a lot honestly, because I personally have been through a lot. So stuff that like affects other people, I just kind of like, I mean, I guess, right? So I definitely understand that.
and a lot of
Ashley,
that.
hey. Oh no, it's hard to crochet and type at the same time. So I totally get it. I totally get it.
And I think that expression is sometimes what causes separation between people because a lot of times we forget that the emotion is the same. So if this person is being emotional about this thing over here that you may not get emotional about, you're not going to care, or you're going to essentially unintentionally gaslight their emotions because you don't get, and everyone does this. Every human gaslights. I'm just going to put that out there. You don't feel the same way about that thing, so you don't understand why they feel that way. But if you take something that does make you feel that way, that's how you make the connection with that person. That's how you find the compassion with that person. Take something
Yeah,
that
I again that's something else I disagree with because I don't feel like I have to make myself feel a certain type of way to understand what someone is going through. But I also feel, and I don't feel that as humans we need to empathize with everybody. I don't feel like that is a thing. I feel like that's dangerous to try to make ourselves feel what everybody else is feeling. I think it's better to acknowledge that I can't possibly feel and understand what you're going through because I don't and won't and have not experienced that. But I can still acknowledge that your feelings are valid, that they exist, and I can respect them. And I think that's different.
well,
But again,
compassion
that's
doesn't mean empathy. They're two different things. You can have compassion without having empathy. It's what you said is exactly compassion. That is compassion. Sometimes people confuse empathy means feeling what that person's feeling. There's no reason for you to feel what that person's feeling. It's just simply understanding where they're coming from and accepting that's how they feel without making it seem like it doesn't matter. That is compassion.
right. I guess I was speaking more to you saying like you need to think of something that would make you feel that way and then like you can understand. It was like I don't think that you need to do that. I don't think you need to be empathetic was my point. Like I
Yeah.
don't think you need to know how they feel or adjust to that because I think that does more harm than good is to act like you can understand something that you can't. Like
I
I
think,
don't think that's
yeah,
why.
I think what I mean when I said that, or like what I meant when I said that, was to simply, if you want to understand, then pull on something. Now, if you're not like if you're having a hard time cognitively understanding what they're going through, and having empathy or having compassion for that, then going through an empathetic position is another way to do that. Because a lot of time, and this is more in reference to the gaslighting thing, when people get into arguments and are not hearing both sides, that's when that's useful. Because we need to be able to have some level of empathy when interacting with people to be able to hear them. Because you can hear them and not hear them. In other words, hear them versus waiting to respond to them. Two different things.
Yeah, so listening, not just hearing the words, but actually actively listening to them.
Yeah, and actually taking it in and accepting that as their truth versus trying to change that truth. Because that's what a lot of people do. They'll try to just change
You're
it.
fine, Nia. We're actually like hit the 2 hour mark, so we'll probably end
Yeah.
here soon. So you're not you're fine. Dren says thank you, Cash. It's always I know you don't mean anything by it, so it doesn't ever bother me. I always know it's because you are visually impaired, but it's always funny to me the different ways that your computer or phone decides to put my name in. It's just cute. So no disrespect. It doesn't make me mad. I think it's awesome, honestly. But Jordan is saying, thank you, Cache, because that's exactly how I feel as a visually impaired person. And it annoys me when people say, oh, I know what you're going through when the person is actually not visually impaired. Right. completely, like completely, like you don't know. And I understand you can sympathize, I understand that you can educate yourself, but to know and understand are two different things.
Yeah,
um,
that one though is that's not what I was actually saying, and I don't think that's necessarily what people are trying to do when they say that. What that is it's not saying I know how it is to be visual impaired. No, what it is saying that must cause you great pain. I know what it's like to feel pain. I
right.
understand that.
Right. And I feel like, and in that, I agree that that's exactly what they're saying. But with Jordan saying that, you are saying the wrong thing, because you think because you have felt pain in your life, you understand this pain I'm going through is not the same.
Yeah.
Right. So, like, someone who's had a family member die and someone who's had the person that raised them die are two very different things.
Yeah.
Right. Like, you can have someone close to you die, but losing your mother or your father is a completely different situation. Losing your child, a completely different situation. And what I think, I know what I'm saying, and what I think Jordan is saying is that sometimes people are saying those things thinking that they're empathizing because they're like, oh, I know a pain, or I know a time I felt discriminated against. And
Yeah.
it's like, they're not the same, people.
Yeah.
They're not
But
the
at the
same.
same time, we also have to take responsibility for the fact that we're reading into things instead of just accepting it for what they're actually saying or for what they're
Right,
trying.
but I think it's also, people have to take into a fact that they're trying to equate something in their life with something that someone else is going through that they can't understand, instead of just listening and being like, yo, I'm sorry that you went through that. How could I what could I do in the future that could help you or somebody like you in these situations, right? Like,
Definitely,
sometimes
right.
it's
Yeah, you're
not about,
definitely right.
oh, sometimes it's not all about, oh, I know what you're going through, oh, I understand, oh, I went through something similar. Sometimes that does more harm than good. And I think for the onus to be on the person that's being harmed all the time to think positive of the people doing the harm instead of the people doing the harm checking their actions and trying to be different, I think that that's a problem.
The issue is though is that you can't control what other people do, but you can't control what you do, and that is the number one universal rule. We have to stop putting our
Right, which is why I'm saying that as people who do those things, right? Because as you said, everybody does this in some degree. Think about how when someone who is from or dealing with something that you have never dealt with, and you have to think of something that hurt you in a way that it seems they're hurt, instead of doing that, realizing, ooh, I'm trying to equate my life to theirs. Instead, let me do something different, right? Like, so this conversation isn't about like all these people are wrong. It's about, think about when you might do that to somebody else, how you could be different. Because again, it is about us, right? He's not saying he went off on somebody. He's just saying that it annoys him when people do this. And the
Well,
conversation is like,
I'm just
how could
saying that we have to. It's both. It's both. Both people have to do it. The person who's saying it has to acknowledge that maybe the way they're saying it isn't the correct thing in the situation, but the person who's receiving it has to learn how to not internalize what people say and just take it for what they were trying to do. It's both people. Like, it's in both.
I also feel like taking what someone tried to do but yet failed isn't necessarily the right thing, right? They tried to do something and they didn't succeed.
Yeah, but
So
again,
I don't
you
think
can't
that
control
all
what
the
other
time.
people do. You can only control what you do.
Right, but you can correct someone if
Yeah,
they're wrong. You
yeah,
can say something, right?
yeah,
And I feel like that's what Jordan is saying. And I'm
exactly.
with Sherry. On the one hand, I feel like people's feelings aren't valid. On the other hand, why are you yelling a tourniquet for it when you have a paper cut? Exactly. Right?
Because
Like,
humans.
exactly.
Because humans. It's
Right.
just it's something I've learned is that the balance. We have to balance because sometimes if we're not careful, we'll try to put how we feel onto other people's shoulders instead of just taking responsibility for our own feelings. Sometimes we do
Right.
that.
And I feel like in this situation, though, to not acknowledge that people can do things that they think are good and they still be bad would be wrong. And to say
Yeah.
that the person who feels that they're wrong, it's their fault for seeing them as wrong, I don't agree with.
Well, no, it's not that it's their fault for seeing them as wrong. It's just acknowledging that your perception of the situation might be tinged by your trauma and not by what actually is happening. That's what I'm saying.
Right, but I feel like the fact
It's
that it's a
about
maybe
being
means that it could go either way, right? Like I feel like I guess the reason I feel strongly about this is because it it puts it on the, well, if you take it this way, then that's what it is. And it's like, no, sometimes people are just wrong. And to say that the person that says, hey, like this is wrong, is the one that, well, you need to change your perception. No, sometimes people need to change what they do.
The thing is that it's the, let me put it this way, and I can definitely understand where you're coming from, because this is generally how the world works. A lot of times we think acknowledging one thing makes the other thing okay. That's not what it is. Both can be correct. Both are correct. One does not have to be more correct for the other, to be wrong. They are both equally correct because they are two different sides of the same coin. And it's our job as individuals to acknowledge both sides. Just acknowledge them. You don't have to agree with them. Just acknowledge them. That's it. And that's what it is. I'm not saying that it's only on that person hearing it to take responsibility for their emotions. No, it's the other person taking responsibility for what they said. It's both. It always is both.
Cool.
And that's just, it's hard. That's hard to do. Like, it's hard to do, especially if it's in a situation that's emotionally taxing or a traumatic or triggering. It's very hard for people to do it. I struggle with it. But for our own personal peace, it's important to do that, to be able to balance both. But that's on the individual. And like with what they said, one hand, the person's feelings are valid, but why are you doing that? That's both. You're acknowledging both situations. It's just confusing because balance is hard. Okay? Freaking hard.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, like that is one of the things that I've been struggling with, is balancing, but acknowledging that it's just hard in general for everyone to be able to balance both situations, no matter what the subject matter is.
Yeah.
It's hard. So I'm trying to teach myself to have compassion for myself first, and then have compassion for everybody else too. And that is my focus.
Yeah.
So I think that simplifies what I'm saying. Just have compassion for yourself first, acknowledge what you're feeling, but also acknowledge what the other person is feeling. It's like that. Which is exactly what you said, Cash, earlier.
Yeah. Sherry says, how would this work in a public space? In the world that we live in, there are often more than two people engaging in the hurt and hurting.
That is part of the human shadow, when people tend to gather in public spaces and then group up with their opinions. Like, that's part of our shadow. And that one is hard. Very hard. And it comes down to what I said earlier. We can't control what other people do. We can only control how we respond to it. That's point blank the reality. If you're being ganged up on, how are you responding? It's okay that you're angry. Feel that anger. No, don't let anyone say it's not okay to feel that anger and that pain. But your response is your responsibility and no one else's. And if that means walking away from the situation, walk away from the situation. If that means ending the conversation and being honest and saying, I'm done with this conversation, you triggered me, then you do that. Do what is necessary for yourself, because you can only control yourself. You can't control what other people do. You can't control if a bunch of people gang up on you. I know. I've been there. Especially in family. Like, my family used to do it to me all the time when I was younger. Yeah, because one of the things someone said once, I don't even know who said it, but If you're expecting people to do what you want them to do, then you're going to spend your entire life disappointed. Which is why I'm literally going to get this tattoo that says you can't control what others do, but you can control how you respond or control what you do. I'm going to get that tattoo somewhere visible.
Oh, turning that light off helps so very much. Like my head is still hurting, but not nearly as bad as it was when that light was like right in my
Is it
eye.
like a nap headache or is it just a light headache?
No, it was like borderlining migraine, which is why I had to turn the light off because like there's like this like pounding behind this eye right here, and like it's making the nerves jump and everything. Like I have a spasm going on in this area off and on throughout the stream. So I was like, yeah, let's just turn that off. Okay, so I'm almost done with this second round of orange. I'm gonna let y'all see it, and then y'all can tell me what the next thing to do is before we get up off of here because we are coming up on 2.5 hours, which
I'm
is
all
no problem because we have not done this in so very long, so it's not a big deal. But definitely know we both got like stuff we wanted to do, and this technically was originally the time we were gonna do. So I know we're not like super late in your day, so
I'm
that's
not
good.
really worried about it. Like if you want to go longer, we can. If you want to get off, you can. I just didn't want to like go so late that I'm like tired or something. You know what I mean?
Oh, right. No, totally, definitely understand that. Okay, so we're saying more orange. So as in like more, how many more rows? So we got 2 rows. And then so how many more rows is the first question. And then what color comes after the orange?
I still can't. I'm sorry. I keep reading that line over again because it makes me laugh. Why are you yelling for a tourniquet when you have a paper cut? I just can't. I'm sorry.
Right.
I'm still chuckling at that. I'm dying. My paper cut is bleeding. uh,
One more row and then yellow. Okay, so I got red again, I got yellow. Okay, so we got one more and we need a tiebreaker vote. I got red again from the lovely Ashley.
I,
Ashley, I don't ever want you to think like I'm like gassing you up or not, but like you have one of the sweetest freaking spirits. Like whenever I see you on camera, I immediately smile. I always look forward to hearing like you have like one of those light, like airy sounding like flowery voices that like you're one of those people that like I feel if they were in like an animated world they'd have like birds and stuff like flying by their head just singing and stuff. Like that's just how sweet you seem, and I don't mean that to be like disrespectful in any type of way, so I hope you like hear the like positive in what I'm saying. But just to say that like you just have this light about you, and I love watching you. Like you legitimately like light up my day, and I just wanted to make sure that I actually vocally told you that instead of like saying I was glad to see you in a chat or something. And
she,
also I can't wait to hear you sing that song. So there's that.
so she's a high vibrating lady.
Yeah, no, she's got one of the just one of the sweetest freaking spirits. Like she's one of those people that like if ever I found out like somebody was like bullying her, like I'd be like, oh, you need me to get somebody for you? I need a unit. I need to like rake some because like it's like why would you ever mess with her? She's the sweetest person ever. Like she's one of those people, and I just love it.
Yeah, those type of people are rare.
Right, super duper rare. Oh, also Sherry said, "He. Thank you. I like to think I'm funny."
Sad part is I actually am that type of person who would cry for a tourniquet over a paper cut. I'm not even kidding. I'm that dramatic. I try not to be, but I am. Like, ask Cash how many times I'll go on like Messenger. I'll be like, I'm dying.
I'm like, "Are you though? Are you? Are you? Are
Are you
you?"
really? She's probably like, what does she want now?
And honestly, like legitimately, and that's why I was like, it's not like I don't like understand and stuff. It's like, and not like you, because our situations is not like that at all. But like in other times, like I definitely am more understanding now than I was before. Right, like when I was a freshman in college, I was at one of the most expensive universities in Oklahoma, and it was a private school, and I didn't understand. Like I didn't, because of like my limited experience with private schools, like I didn't understand the capacity of private schools, like high schools we had in America. So like I was going to school with people who had like their whole life never went to school with people that weren't boys. Like if they were a boy, they went to all boys schools their entire life, like stuff like that. And there was this girl, and she was like crying in our like joint area, because I lived in a co-ed dorm, and she was crying because since she got a C on her exam, her parents had turned her monthly allowance down from $500 a month to 250, and she was crying. And I was like, yo, like I wish I had somebody to send me $5 a month while I'm in college to get through this. And your parents send you 500, and you chose to party and not study, and you got a lower grade, and they lowered your amount. Not they stopped sending you money altogether, they just lowered it. I could not possibly fathom and understand what she was crying about. Now, I still can't completely possibly fathom it and understand, because I still don't live that life. But I understand that for her now as an adult, that was a bigger situation for her. Like it was one that I couldn't understand and definitely didn't try to. But now as an adult, I'm like, oh, I mean, I can understand like feeling like, dang, I know she didn't try her hardest, but feeling like, hey, I tried my hardest and I didn't, meet this goal, and I'm being punished for it. Like I can understand that concept of it, right? Um, but it's also going back to, I didn't need to try to understand. I just needed to listen to what she was saying and let her feel free to vent, right? Because I didn't. What did me knowing what she went through understand help her? It didn't at all. Like she just wanted to vent. But again, that's not something I learned until I was older. Also, Ashley, you're super welcome. You're super welcome. Okay, so we're at two for the orange. So I'm gonna do one more because I thought I heard that one more, and then yellow or orange. So since we still got one vote on each, I think I'll ask the boyfriend and let him decide. And he can
I
go
think like, well, that situation, it's not like you're gonna ever see her again. So that one, yeah, you don't definitely feel it. I think with
Well,
me,
yeah, but I mean, at the time, I didn't know that, right? Like at the time, I thought, oh, like I thought I was gonna be at that school for 4 years, and we were friends, and that kind of thing. So I thought like it made me feel some type of way, because I was like, yo, is this what the world is like? Like, because I met so many people like that, but I also didn't realize, hey, I'm going to a private school. So because I'm at a private school, I'm with people who have done private school things their whole life. So there's going to be a lot of stuff I just cannot relate to and would
yeah,
not be able to understand.
yeah. And see, that's the thing. Is just like you definitely
Okay.
don't perhaps relate to everything. It's just acknowledging that everybody has feelings, and
Right.
they're gonna those feelings express themselves differently, like you said earlier. So yeah, definitely yellow for sure. I'm over here like reading.
Okay. All right, so we got yellow for sure. Okay, yellow, and then I'll go back to the red, because I'm definitely not. If I end on orange again, I'm gonna be so mad. I'm so sick of ending on orange. Not that I don't like it. I think it's good, but I'm trying to get like some type of pattern, and it's not looking like it. It's
Maybe
looking like I just.
stop and start. This is what I do normally. Like I'll be painting and then all of a sudden I'll stop and do something else. This is literally how my day goes. I stop, I get distracted by YouTube. My mom wants something. I get hungry. This is my day. I'll talk to myself. I do talk to myself sometimes. I have no shame.
Oh no, I'm definitely a talk to myself type of person.
I just feel like, how you feeling today?
Some of my biggest problems is talking to myself.
Right? I think the best conversation you can have in your day is with yourself. That's just what I'm saying. I mean, it has nothing to do with the fact that I don't go anywhere and do much of anything. It has nothing to do with
Okay, so we're saying yellow. Yellow, I think it'll look like a sunset. Okay, cool. Yeah.
Plus, I'm like taking my time because I don't want to mess up the wings.
I feel like all of y'all are like they are still here, haven't got to see the other ones, so I'll show y'all. So again, you see this ended in orange. Oh, knocked over the daggum. What is this thing called? That light. No, don't fall again now. Okay, there we go. Okay, so these are the Granny Square ones. This is the start with orange. This start with yellow. And then this is the one that started with red. And then these are the spike stitch. This is the one started with orange. As you see, it ends with orange. This one starts with yellow and ends with orange. Like they just end with orange. And so the spike one that I'm working on now, which I just moved, is this so far. And then the last two that I have to do are spirals. So they'll need to start with orange. One start with orange and one start with red. And I don't know how I'm gonna do the spiral, so I don't know what I'm gonna do just yet. But we shall see. We shall see. I haven't figured it out yet. And once all 9 blocks are done, I'm gonna connect them all and make one big blanket. As y'all see, this I think we should end in red too. I agree. I agree. So yeah, so what my plan is like to connect all 3 of the regular granny squares, and then that be one panel, and then all 3 of the spike stitch, and then that be one row, and then all 3 of the spiral, and that be a row, and then connect all those 3 rows together and make one big blanket. And as you see, like it's gonna be pretty big because these are these squares, so it'll be 3 across and 3 down. So it'll be a pretty big blanket. I just need to get the squares finished so that I can start connecting them all.
Oh, I didn't tell you what kind of white it was, the paint that I need, which it's called transparent mixing white. And the reason why is because it's a transparent white. So when you, like, you've ever mixed paint, have you ever noticed that the paint will make the color like a pale pastel instead of just the lighter version?
Right, it's just a lighter version. Yeah.
And it'll make it cloudy sometimes if you put too much on it, especially if you thin it down too much. Well, this white one is transparent, so it doesn't make that cloudiness, but it also is made to mix so that it doesn't make it as pastel. You still hold some of the true color.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
Because the white we're usually using is called titanium white, and that's an opaque white.
That also explains why it costs so much.
Yeah. They also have unbleached white, which just means that it's like a cream color. So when you're mixing,
so more like an eggshell than a.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some people use that because they want like a warmer color, because the titanium white will make things like cold pastel instead of warm pastel.
Right, because it's more of a bluish tint than a reddish tint.
Yeah. So that's one of the reasons, because when I'm going to be glazing over this part, like the hair and everything, and for the face, and that's where the lighting is, I need to be able to go lighter, but glazing, if I use the titanium white, when I thin it down with my medium, it'll just have this like cloudy effect over the face. So I want to make the color without creating that cloudiness and be able to layer it with glazes. That's why. And
That makes
I didn't have to worry about that with the wings because the wings were already white.
nice. Nia says, "Oh, nice. Thanks, Martha. I will get some transparent white."
Yep.
Yeah,
Glad-
Nia's another one of those like super creative people. And she said, "Hey, it was fun listening to you both while I shower. Your conversations were really deep." Thank you. You know, that's one thing you can expect from these create streams, because we gonna be talking about some random stuff. You never know what to expect, and it's gonna get deep.
We were able to have an adult conversation about it instead of those
Right.
like YouTube channels with I don't know. I've seen some YouTube channels that were hot messes.
Yeah. Yeah, no. I'm always more a fan of discussion and learning from people than arguing. Like I don't you don't when you're arguing and trying to prove a point and not necessarily like, okay, I see what you're saying, here's my take on it, and trying to like understand, I feel like it's not as fun, and I wouldn't want to go back and watch that. So why would I think a subscriber would?
Right? And plus, like one of the things, guys, I learned a lot of things. Like this last 6 months, it's been hard for me. But anyway, one of the things I've learned also is sometimes they're just petty battles. At the end of the day, people are fighting because they just want to be right. And it's like you are right for yourself. You don't need to be right for the other person. End it there. No. And learning that has taken me a little while. I'm obviously still human. It's not going to go. I'm not going to become an alien all of a sudden. I wish, but
Mm-hmm.
I've grown as a human being,
Right.
and that's the whole point. I love. I I'm watching an artist channel called Law Cree Fine Art. I don't know if you ever seen her before.
Mm-hmm. I haven't.
She's her art. You see, if you've seen a lot of art supplies, she paints like sea creatures and whales, and then she has some like space surreal with whales flying in space. Like she does
Oh
that,
wow.
and you've probably seen it on some art supplies in passing because she's
Mm-hmm.
sponsored by Derwent, which makes pencils and colored pencils and all that stuff. So she's
Yeah.
sponsored by them. Um, but her channel, she's like one of the biggest art channels on YouTube, and she does like tutorials on how to paint. And I'm saying she does it with painting with acrylic, painting with oils. I think she does pastels. She also does colored pencils. She does Prismacolor and polychromos, which are two different types of colored pencils. One's oil, one's wax. I know you guys don't care, but I'm going to say it anyways. And watching her, she talks really fast. So if you're not a person who can follow a fast talker, not the channel for you.
Okay.
But watching her paint is just so cool. Like it's cool because she teaches you things. Like she'll point out stuff that,
Yeah.
like I watched the video on how she glazes with acrylics because glazing with oils is easier, but when you're using acrylics take a little bit different technique because they dry faster and they're water soluble. Oils, you have to use an actual oil medium, so they're just different. But she does some videos on how to make your acrylics look like they're oil painted.
Oh wow.
So like that's what I'm working towards with mine.
Okay. That's a good goal. So working towards making your acrylics look like they're oil, or
Yeah.
working to be able to do the video she does.
Oh,
I want.
acrylics look like oils, which I'm close, pretty
Oh,
close, not quite.
got you.
Yeah, La Cree. So it's LA, and I don't even know how she's supposed to Cree part. La Cree Fine Art.
Okay.
Her logo has two fish. You look.
Okay.
I'm trying to
I'll
think of how to spell
look
it.
her up for
I think it's
sure.
LACHRI. I think that's how you spell it. La Cree. Yeah.
Okay, before we get off of here, let me make sure I add your stuff in the description box, because definitely forgot to do that earlier.
Yeah, but I can't wait till like I don't even know what the colors of this is going to be. I know it's going to be a warm tone, which is why that there's yellow over it. This
Mm-hmm.
is a warm yellow because I want it to look like the classical paintings, but I don't
Mm-hmm.
know what the rest of the colors are going to be. I have no idea. I'm still trying to figure out what color palette I want to use. I might keep it simple. Yeah, she's the one that introduced me to the difference between wax colored pencils and oil colored pencils, and I'll never go back to wax.
Mm-hmm.
Which, if you want to know, pretty much all colored pencils are made of wax, like the ones Crayola is made of wax. But these, it is that you can actually dilute them with oil and blend them. That's what's cool about oils. Plus, they don't break the way that wax colored pencils do. And you know when you press too hard and then you can't put any more pigment on the paper with colored pencils? That's called wax bloom. You don't
Okay.
get it with oils. You can just keep layering. You learn all kinds of stuff when you look on the internet.
This is very true.
Do it. Painting is
Okay.
fun. It is so much fun. Like I know I complain about how tedious it is, but I actually do enjoy it. I'm just bitching for no reason. And actually, like when I'm painting, when I'm not talking to nobody, I go into a state of like, you know, that state between being awake and being asleep, where
Uh-huh.
you're not thinking, so you're just are. That's what it's like when I'm painting. It's like my brain isn't really doing anything other than focusing on the painting, and I go into a complete state of bliss. And then hours pass, and all of a sudden I realize I'm like half done with painting, and it's like time for lunch or time for dinner. Yeah, zen. And painting is the only time that happens for me. Only time.
Okay. Hey, it's important though.
It took me a while to realize that. I thought I was just weird. You know, when you're a kid, you don't know nothing. Watercolor pencils, I have a hard time with those. I tried them once and they just didn't work out. Not 100% sure why I couldn't use them. It might just be user error. But yeah, I can never do it. My Virgo app can admit that I don't know much about watercolor pencils.
Right. All right, y'all. So we are about to wrap up now. I updated the description box, so Martha's channel is in there. Yeah, we are definitely going to be doing this again next week. We'll be on your channel, right?
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Next time we'll be on Martha's channel. I'm pretty sure the same time. I don't see us doing it any other time or whatever. So, all right, y'all. Y'all have a great rest of your day. Bye.